What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 23 of the Pylon Show. I am one of the hosts here, Jeff In Control Robinson, joined by two of my absolute favorite people in the whole world, and that, of course, means that they are Starcraft people. As always, and welcome back from your trip and your sickness, Dan Artosis Stemkowski. Hello.
Jeff, I'm so happy to be back. It was really weird not having the show for 2 weeks, and now I feel normal again. So I'm happy. My brother had a great wedding. It was so fun. We had a great Super Tournament. It was so fun. And now, just a lot of StarCraft 1 and looking forward to BlizzCon.
It's a good time. It's a good time to be live. We're happy to have you as well. Ravi, this is like your 34th appearance on the show. We love having you. Thank you. Tried to fill up the show with some naughty European and North American pro gamers to perhaps have a fun debate with. We got one. But thank you for showing up, man. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm doing well. I'm so glad you got me because, since you couldn't get the two European players to trash talk each other, you got the next most BM player or person that you know. Me.
That's exactly right.
You do love Dark Templars, so I get it. I see it.
Oh my god. It's actually such a delight whenever I ladder and people are like, "Oh, is this the real Feardragon?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, hey, like what's up?" Afterwards, 80% of the time, it's just like, well, your commentary is shit anyways, and I hope that you never get another gig again. And I'm like, Jesus, relax. I made some Dark Templars.
Wow.
Nice username had that. He tweeted a picture.
Yeah.
Because he was on the show. It was really nice for him. He's such a complimentary guy. Dan, it was the episode you missed. I don't know if you saw his tweet. But after the show, he played against somebody. I assume he beat him, but anyways, the guy messaged like, "You were shit on the Pylon show," is what he told him. And I gotta say, that's like, if you get to a place as a show where people are telling you they just didn't like you on the show, then you're like, you've kind of made it, by the way. So I think Cobra's gonna look.
I guess. That's amazing.
There it is.
I want that so bad now. I want for someone to loose me on ladder and be like,
I don't like your show.
Pylon show sucks. I only watch it for In Control.
Yeah.
Like, all right, yeah.
It's a level of anger and insult that is pretty amazing. So, Joey's the wrong guy to say that stuff too, by the way, guys, because he's like the only guy that has one of the only guys that has the skill to take that funny picture and turn it into something else. And then there's Nero's response too, which is just one of my Cobra, if you can show that too, because that whole thread was just amazing, because I saw this and this made my day, because it's like, our show made it. It's in a place where people use it as a weapon now, and then Nero just posted this picture.
Oh my god.
Isn't that exactly how you feel when someone says something like that, though? You're just like...
You're so on point with the photos. I love that. I think it was like 2-3 years ago, he's just like, you know what? I'm never going to make a tweet without posting a photo as well. He's just on point with it.
He's the man. Another person we've had on the show a bunch of times.
Oh, we'll have him back on.
People are starting to figure out who our favorite people are.
Well, it's funny too, because Dan and I's original our goal was to have a new person on every time, and of course, I think we've actually done a pretty good job of that. But at the same time, there's just some all-stars of the scene, and we love to hear from them. And the show's only once a week, which is funny because it feels like a lot, but it also at the same time is not. So, anyways, a lot of the same people on. Just as kind of an update on the show, as we always want to start things off, Cobra's going to post, or Alessandra, by the way, who's been helping out and kind of has joined the team of the show, which is awesome. We'll post the notes of the show in the chat. So, of course, this does not help our podcast folks. This does not help our YouTube people, but Cobra has always done such an amazing job of putting those notes in the descriptions and stuff like that, so you'll get it there.
Yeah.
But people in the chat, you can follow it there. And then just other cleaning house things. We took obvious feedback last week on This Week in StarCraft being over an hour long. I'm going to try for that to never happen again. The problem with that is I have the In Control curse of any time I say something's not going to take a lot of time, it ends up taking 100 times more time than we thought possible. So
BlizzCon's going to be great.
Yeah, well, should be a quick BlizzCon. Anyways, so those are those couple of things. I do want to start the show off before we get into This Week of StarCraft with our sponsor love. So first and foremost, well, not foremost per se, but first, AFK has been continuing to sponsor the show. Lycan's done a great job, and Dan says that he likes the tea quite a bit.
I do. I actually drink it a lot, and I've messaged Lycan and let him know it's really good stuff. It's so far I've been drinking the Monopot is my favorite one.
Oh, okay.
And this is Golden Leaf. I decided Golden Leaf today. Mix it up a little bit. But it's really good. And it's very much more healthy than other beverages. So it's like, I think as far as health benefits, it goes water, then tea. Probably. And then don't drink anything else if you want to be super healthy. But, you know, we all drink other things. So
Salt of your enemies, I think, is the third one. But yeah, it's way up there. The nice thing about AFKT, and this is going to segue nicely into our other sponsor, one of our other sponsors, is you can now purchase it through Matcherino. So if you go to the Matcherino website for us, there's all kinds of amazing stuff on here. This has taken a life of its own, by the way. Cobra and team do an amazing job. There's the Is It Though mug that you can pick up.
That's a great mug.
Dude,
you know how much that we say "is it though" now, like Nick and I to each other just in private? It's just you've actually infected our brains.
It's such an accessible meme. It's just so easy for anyone to join in on.
Is it though?
Where that originated from, though, was going around in my Discord recently, and that is such a funny. It's kind of bittersweet because it makes me miss our Starcraft Remastered events that we had going anyways, but where it came from is really, really funny. But you can pick up that stuff, including the tea. Of course, why would you purchase it through Matcherino? Well, every time you do that, part of that does go to Matcherino, but they are then able to track that you guys are buying merchandise for our show through this, and it's just really good for everyone. You could buy the Tastosis announcer pack that's been on there for a little while there. But just check it out. There's really funny meme stuff on there, and of course, it goes without saying, but if any of us see you at BlizzCon or some of these other events wearing or using any of this shit, you have a guaranteed hug, at least from me. Maybe Artosis. I can't speak on his behalf, but
I won't push you as I walk by you.
Okay. I mean, that's pretty good. It's, you know, there's not a lot of guarantees in life, but there's one for you. So a big shout out to Matt. Oh, go ahead, Matt. Yep.
Is this AFKT sponsorship little logo right here? If you click on follow AFT Twitter handle, it'll donate 25 cents to the show, and we benefit, and you get to keep track of AFKT products on Twitter.
Or just following them on Twitter. And it's just a T Twitter, so they're posting tons of interesting shit. No, they're probably not, but it helps out the show a lot, so make sure and consider it. And then the last update I would say about Matcherino is that you guys' last Matcherino session, if you will, which doesn't make a lot of sense for you guys, but whatever. You guys fulfilled the requirements. So Dan and I are going to do a show match. We're going to do on October 13th for those of you stateside, or is it 12th? Anyways, Friday.
I think it's 12th for you, 13th for me.
Friday the 12th. Yeah, not the 13th. That'd be weird for us to do a show match then. Friday the 12th at this time. So 5:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or whatever, 8:45, etc. Dan and I are going to play a Zerg versus Terran, me Zerg, him Terran in StarCraft Remastered, best of 1. And then we're going to play a reverse or an off-race best of 3 in StarCraft 2. Dan's going to play Zerg, I'm going to play Terran, and it's going to be silly, it's going to be funny. We're going to find somebody to commentate it, and it's going to be a really nice little spectacle, and we'll hang out with you guys, and it'll be a little bit of the pylon show funny thing. And there you go. So that's the date.
If you drop any mules on me after killing my poor Zerg, I'll be buried.
You know what's funny about this is I'm not a mule dropper, but I do have one thing that I do all the time when I play Terran in StarCraft 2, and I love that you have no idea what it is. You don't, do you?
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never seen you play Terran in StarCraft 2. Okay. Every time I turn on your stream, you're playing Protoss.
There's going to be a little bit of sweet vindication then, because the only hint you're going to get is that I call myself the Watcher. As a Terran
Watcher?
Yeah, that's it. That's all you get.
You build sensor towers?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, my damn man.
Okay.
I will tell you I'm not very good with Terran, but what I do quite well. So anyways, that'll be fun. And then we have another Matcherino going on. We have other kind of ideas we're kicking around, but if you guys continue to show love through Matcherino to us, we'll do more of that kind of stuff. It's a you give, we give, that kind of thing. So those are our sponsors. Thank you guys for bearing with that. We're going to fly through this week in StarCraft. That being said, and of course, as I say this, there's some big ones in there, so we probably won't fly through it, but we're going to try. So Dan, go ahead. Okay,
I'm here, so no worries. We're going to get through this. All right. This week in StarCraft, Passioncraft Open Season 9. You can check this out. You can look it up on Liquipedia. It is a competitive experience for non-professional players with lots of stream games. Diamond 1 and above, you have a decent chance of qualifying. And there's a bunch of OSC points as well as some money involved. So check it out. All right, the Q-Lash Invitational. I want you guys to guess. Close your eyes. Who do you think won that?
The Clash Invitational. You know what? I want to say it's Cyril. Do you think it's Cyril?
I think it might have been. Might have been.
It was Cyril.
It was Cyril, okay.
But kind of a little bit of a surprise. Zanster got to the finals. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Zanster been really strong for quite some time. So definitely awesome. You guys can check that out on the Clash page.
One thing on that, by the way, for people that didn't watch, Clash has like a gaming house and a big, beautiful studio. And like, I had no fucking idea. Did anybody know that? Are they in other games, I guess?
I wasn't aware. But, I mean, they have really good players. They have, like, Lambo and a laser and Red and stuff. So, I mean, they're doing some serious stuff.
I asked Wardy about this because I also had the exact same reaction as you, Jeff. And he said, at least from what he was telling me, I don't think any of the players actually live there. I don't know what they use it for, except for production stuff.
Well, maybe back in the day in old esports, there was a few places where it's like a team would have a boot camp place where you'd go before a big tournament.
Yeah.
People would have.
Team Liquid still does. Yeah, I think.
Hey, there you go. That's the old school way of doing it, and that was. As a Brood War guy, I always watched when the Warcraft 3 guys got to go to a boot camp and be like, "Oh, I wish we could do that. I wish that video cards would sponsor our tournaments." Okay, so next thing.
I just want to say one cool thing that is just worth checking out from the Clash Invitational. There was one game, I can't remember, I think it was like a laser versus Zanster or something. Someone versus Zanster. They went for like, there was like some crazy defense versus like the drone pull Spinecrawler rush on Lost and Found, where he builds 3 evolution chambers to wall off the area where the Spinecrawlers would go inside the main base. It's just like, it's so weird that trying to describe this is actually absurd. You guys just need to go watch it. Like, go check out Zanster's games where he gets early pulled with like drone pull. It's so cool.
That's nice. Cool. That sounds cool. All right, thank you for that. Next up on the docket, World Electronic Sports Games. Wow, is that what WESG stands for? 2018. Anyways, the qualifiers are going on. The online qualifier was won by Scarlet and Neeb. And there's a bunch more qualifiers coming up in September 23rd and 30th for Canada and USA. The Asia Pacific China qualifiers will be October 1st through 3rd. And they've already got a lot of point standings going on right now. Looks like Jon Snow is leading it in US and BioIce in Canada. So definitely this is kind of, as far as tournaments that aren't like, I don't know, official, like for WCS points, WESG seems to be the pack leader in a lot of ways. So definitely do check that out.
Yeah.
All right. Star Ladder Ultimate Series. $7,000 prize pool sponsored by Blizzard from September 29th through October 21st with EU, NA, and RU rounds. A lot of good players already participating in it. You can definitely check it out on sc2.starladder.com.
Interesting.
Base Trade Star League Season 2. The online league, of course, run by Rifkin. They're doing the cross finals. They have the bracket all set up for all the different areas. The bracket is as follows: Kira vs. Puck, Nurgio vs. Raynor, Dark vs. Kane, and Snoot vs. Gumiho. Definitely a very nice looking bracket right there. It doesn't say yet exactly when this will be played. I know Rifkin's been sick. Get better, buddy. But yeah, that's the cross finals. I know you're always a fan of stuff like that, Jeff.
Oh yeah.
All right, so Wardy TV Summer Championships are going on. Of course, you can check out wardy.tv. The one result that's already done, Group A, was really interesting. Euthermal actually won this group over Rogue, Raynor, Petite Drogo, and Stats. So I haven't seen these games. I don't know if you guys have checked these out yet, but that's pretty impressive.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like Raynor, Rogue, and Stats right now are on fire. I mean, Drogo's not bad at all by any means. So for Euthermal to crush through there with 3-1 and 7-3 map score, all right. Some legit stuff going on, but definitely check that out. The playoffs will be starting. Of course, it's got Group B coming up on October 3rd. So actually, it should be really soon, right? Because it's probably October 3rd.
No, Group B played out.
Oh, it already finished?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
So we have the bracket below that. Zest won. And then it's a ZVZ round 1 of the playoffs. So Nurgio versus Raynor. The winner of that faces Euthermal. And then Rogue versus Denver. And the winner of that faces Zest.
Damn, man. Denver is really putting out some good games lately, isn't he?
He's been playing really well.
He looked really good in Montreal. I was very impressed.
By the way, I was watching you commentate Denver in Montreal, and as soon as you said Denver the Last Dinosaur, I couldn't get the song out of my head.
Did I say
He's
that?
my friend. And yeah, you mentioned Denver the Last Dinosaur. No one knew what the hell you were talking about because you're older than everybody. But I was like, Denver the Last Dinosaur, he's my friend, and a whole lot more.
I think I purged it from my brain because I think you're right. It got zero recognition from anyone. And
It was like crickets, man. But at home, I was like, no, I have another kid's song in my head. I don't need any more of these.
I specifically remember this moment because every single time Jeff does one of those, I always have this, am I out of touch or is Jeff just doing that thing? Where it's like super obscure.
It's definitely not you. You don't have to worry, Robbie. I can't help it. The thing is, it's in my head too. Like when I say that, I'm not like, this is the joke I've been preparing for weeks. It's just like, so I was like, Denver, and I'm like, Denver Last Dinosaur, and I move on. And
yeah, it was a popular cartoon when we were kids, so... All right, Banshee Tournament number 5, of course, casted by Zombie Grub. This is the women's tournament. You can check it out on Wikipedia. It was won by Tilia over Rand G Fallen 3-0, so pretty dominating victory there. You can definitely go check out those VODs. Check out Zombie Grub's Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Zombie Grub. 2018 TESPA Collegiate Series. The registration period is from August 20th, which was a long time ago, to November 12th, which is a long time from now. So you still have time. The tournament is September 30th through December 2nd. It's going to be an 8-week leaderboard system. First place has $750 in scholarships, and it goes right down through 8th place, which gives you some Blizzard bucks. So definitely check that out if you are in college. It's a great way to make friends and get better at Brood War. I mean, not Brood War, StarCraft, too.
Yeah.
All right. Afreeca World 22 by Laughing Games on Afreeca TV. They've been doing these tournaments a lot. They grab a bunch of good players from around the world, and you can watch that on Afreeca TV. This last one, a Laser, Euthermal, Petit Drogo, and Soul. So definitely an all-star lineup. And look at that. It's a little European tournament with only one Zerg in it.
Well,
that was good planning.
Invited, yeah. Look at that picture of Euthermal. That is the most handsome picture of Euthermal I think I've ever seen.
That angry
look. That's a really old one. I think that's like a jersey from AT Gaming or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're
that
right.
actually might be like 4 years old or something.
So are you saying he's getting uglier as he ages, Jeff?
No, I'm just saying
it's
that's
not
a really...
where you're going with this.
Look at it. Look at that. And look at a laser. It looks like it's like of a men's health magazine. Like.
Oh, I know.
That's the GSL photo, I think, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
And then Petit Drogo looks like an American werewolf in Paris, I think.
What about Soul? You got to give us a comment on each of them.
Just like the photo, like webcam photo or something.
Soul's like, this is my 8-year-old self. He doesn't look like that anymore. If you see him.
A little bit of a baby face there. Yeah. All right, Thermi Cup 2. It did take place. We talked about this previously with Euthermal on the show. He was talking about it, and
there's Euthermal.
Agaham won the tournament. So, pretty cool. He defeated Marsman 3-2 in the finals.
Okay, so what's the restriction on this? Because I don't recognize any of these names.
Okay, so it's just like it's a local Netherlands land that Euthermal puts together just for kind of the local scene. But this guy is a GM player, and Euthermal's been supporting his stream when he's going live and stuff. So it's kind of cool, like a little grassroots Netherlands thing that Euthermal's putting on.
That's really awesome.
Yeah. I mean, what can't this kid do? He beats Rogue and Stats in that tournament, and then he like hosts a LAN for his fellow Dutchman. Doesn't even enter it because we know he would win.
Yeah.
Tells Harston he can't come because we knew he would win. And then we get some new up-and-coming talent. It's wonderful.
Schedule it when Roddy couldn't come because he would win.
Well, there's other GMs in that country, so. Yeah. All right. Pizza Pie Weekly number 41. It feels like there's been at least 45, so I'm not sure about this number. But you can check it out at all-inspiration.challenge.com. Of course. Oh, look at this. We got some real good players entering, too. Future Terran defeated Riser and won a pizza for himself. So there you go. Pretty nice. He might be only second place in the WESG U.S. qualifiers, but at least he won a pizza. I don't see Jon Snow's name up there. Yeah. But, guys, you can You can check that out. October 7th looks like it's the next one for that Pizza Pie Bi-Weekly. All right.
This is, by the way, one of the things mentioned is when people are like, hey, congrats on BlizzCon for the Pylon show. Hopefully you guys mentioned the Pizza Pie Bi-Weekly.
It's part of the show now.
It is.
You know, my favorite thing about this, like, Future keeps winning these, is that Future still lives at home because he's in high school. So I just imagine his parents are just constantly like, dude, we can't just order pizza, like, every single week.
I can, Mom and Dad. It's free. Riser's 17 as well. I just learned he's really young.
Yeah.
Huh.
Young guys.
Some up and coming talent, winning pizzas for their fans.
Yeah.
All right. The Take TV's Penthouse Party number 4 is coming. 32 players joining Naruto, Take, Roddy, and Wardy. October 5th through 7th. Just a ridiculously awesome player list for this already. On top of that list, names like M. Canning. And,
just M. Canning.
Well, that was what I was really excited about. I want to see guys like that play more tournaments personally.
Innovation.
Like some of these big streamer personalities that are really good, like M. Canning and Neuro and stuff. This is like my own little private obsession as I watch over the coming years. Can these guys become top-level pros while having these super entertaining, interesting streams that are very different?
Yeah, you wouldn't believe how much Cyril had to bribe M. Canning to not go to Montreal just so he could get...
Well, the Disruptor's being changed back, boys, so it's almost his time. All right, another up-and-coming tournament, of course, November 22nd through 25th is the real Home Story Cup, not just a Penthouse Party. That's Home Story Cup XVIII. That would be 28, I would say. I'm sure a lot of great players will be there.
18.
Jeff, are you going to be there?
Yeah. It's number 18.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's the plan. They haven't officially...
Oh, yeah. 18.
Wait a second. Oh, no, saw my name on the page and was like, wait, what? No, but it was a previous one. Yeah, we'll see. This is over Thanksgiving, so that's always a little bit harder for us Americans.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I've missed a couple of the winter season ones, and they're one of my favorites because it's not sweltering hot. It's actually really pleasantly kind of cold and chilly, a little bit of rainy, a little bit of snow, which is actually my favorite weather. And then it's Home Story Cup, and I'm going to try to get there.
Cool. Well, hope to see you there. Always amazing to watch Home Story Cup. Also coming up, Ting Open Season 5. The remaining preseason cups are going to make a larger final one. They're combining all of them together. And they'll be using it to announce Season 5 officially on Base Trade TV. Cup number 5, Korea, September 19th. Number 6, Korea, September 20th. Ting 5 Mega, September 26th. So that stuff already occurred. Okay, so that's not this week in StarCraft. That was last week in StarCraft. SCV Rush, number 139, weekly tournaments. Number 1 ranked Braddock. Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Blast from the past. And their weekly tournaments you can check out at scvrush.challenge.com. You know, Challenge should have like a StarCraft 2 portal thing that makes it easier for people to see, because they have so many of the things that we announce each week are done through Challenge.
It has become like the tournament bracket thing. Like people in Warhammer actually use Challenge a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There must be a way to look at it, because as a tournament organizer, there are just some players that as soon as you list it as a StarCraft 2 tournament, they just sign up. I've had like NA restricted things, like a bunch of Koreans will just be like, I'm signing up for every single StarCraft 2 tournament that exists for the next couple of weeks. So
they put it on you to kick them out. They want to win. They want to win those pizzas, man. All right, another tournament coming up. The Dutch StarCraft League begins today, and then the 10th, the 21st, 24th. The finals will be on December 1st. The DSCL, as it's known, you can check it out at starcraft.dutchrank.nl. There's going to be Barcrafts as well, and that's always, those guys put in a lot of effort with that, and they always have. Definitely want to. There's not many leagues like that where it's a national thing that they're doing. Okay, so Kings of the North Probots Season 2. Okay, so this is an AI tournament, and we're going to be talking more about AI in coming weeks as well.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept and topic overall, but looks like they're having a custom AI tournament. I don't know, I find these types of things really fun. Like, I became kind of obsessed with this type of thing when the AlphaGo beat that Korean dude. Like, It's really interesting to watch computers get programmed to play these games that we all play.
Yeah.
They have a prize pool. Holy shit.
Yeah.
They have a prize
it's
pool?
a lot of work to make those.
They should get paid in Bitcoin, though, I feel like, right? Like digital currency, like not real money. Because they're not real people.
I also just want to note
What are they going to do with a $100 bill? They're not going to be... They don't even have hands. They don't even have hands in control.
Enter a robot into the Pizza Pie Weekly, and it's like, you want a pizza. I don't know why you would.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
I just want to note that image, by the way, that Cobra picked out for the bot tournament is literally just like 9 cannons in the natural with like 4 shield batteries of a Terran player with void. Like this is the future, guys. They figured out how to optimize the micro for cannon rush.
A fucking computer did that right there?
Yeah.
Shut it down.
If you had just shown me this and you're like, who did this? I'd be like, Haas. I don't know.
Starting to make
Draw
sense.
your own conclusions.
Yeah. Have you ever seen him smile? I haven't either.
Or maybe they're just using his replays to program the ultimate computer. All right. More up-and-coming tournaments. Epic Land 25 in the UK, October 12th through 14th. You can check out about this at tournaments.epicland.co.uk. And, I mean, you're going to have to browse that site a little bit. I'm not going to read all these forward slash things for you. But if you live in the UK and you want to do this land, you're going to be able to figure that out, okay? And if you don't, then it's fine. All right, Midwest Land 20 in Wisconsin, October 12th through 14th. $20 player attorney entry with a $250 bonus to the pot. So that is, well, you can definitely check that out. Just Google Midwest Land 20, and I'm not going to tell you guys the exact address because most of you don't live there. Walks Weekly, $5. You can sign up at challenge.com/Walks Weekly.
What the fuck?
That's half a pizza.
Well, it matters where you are.
Yeah, that's true.
We have a place in Korea called Pizza School where you get $5 pizzas, and it's a reasonably sized pizza, and it's not that bad. Jeff, I fed you that when you were in Korea last.
Yeah,
you came to my house and we got Pizza School. It was amazing.
The pizzas near me, a slice costs $5.
Well, you live in San Francisco. That place is broken, man. Oh, all right. Just a few more things I think we have here. Wow, this is going long, but you know what? We're going through pretty quick, actually. We haven't even been going 30 minutes yet. All right, Inside the Scene number 8, Drexama and Ender Sword, having Jesse and Michael on Matcherino. Why sponsor StarCraft 2? Oh, that's cool, because we're sponsored by Matcherino.
Yeah.
So if we want to know why, Jeff, we can go watch this episode on ESChamp.
Fascinating.
He also did one most recently with Maynard, Zombie Grub, and I on casting.
Oh, how'd that go?
It was a lot of fun.
I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
No, they do great content. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, ESChamp has really been killing it lately. They've been like just nailing it with really interesting, different guests every week and everything. Good topics. I wish we could be more like them. Okay, the breakdown with Root Cats. He's on, I think, episode 5 right now. He's done episode 3 with sort of, 4 with Petite Drogo, and 5 with a Laser. Every week, Cats and pro players walk through interesting games or go deep into the process and reasonings in current strats. So that's really quite awesome. Check out his YouTube, youtube.com/wearecats. Cat's really one of the very smart guys in the StarCraft scene. I always enjoy his analysis.
One of the best writers.
The fact that he's coming... Huh?
When he writes something, when he's like arguing with somebody on Reddit or whatever, or Team Liquid, it's very well written. He's an incredibly good writer.
Yeah, I wish he wouldn't waste his time in Reddit comments and instead would waste his time making more videos like these.
I will say...
Yeah, no, stuff's great.
He tweeted today that this is number 5 of at least 10. But he very specifically said the viewership on this has not been super great. So if you're listening to this and the idea of listening to pro gamers break down replays and strategies and that kind of thing, which you really want to support, if that sounds good to you, please do what you can. So that's, again, the simple thing of, like, watch it yourself, tell someone about it, share it. If there's not a thread on Reddit, make a thread on Reddit. Even if you're like, what good is it? I have 10 followers, etc. Like, retweeting it, sharing it, telling people, like, that kind of stuff helps content producers. And Katz is really good, and he keeps kind of switching around what he's doing. We don't, just speaking on behalf of the scene, we don't want guys like Katz to keep making content that's wonderful like this and then be like, nobody cares, I'm going to go away.
Yeah, those episodes are really cool, by the way. Like, it's really hard to find places to just, like, learn a lot about StarCraft in a condensed and very, like, efficient fashion for you're going to learn a lot in that kind of segment. Katz's thing, like, they talk about a lot of really good stuff. You'll actually learn a lot in a short period of time.
Yeah, it's very true. Like, for instance, if you're someone that enjoys playing some StarCraft and wants to get better in things like this, if you spend 30 minutes or an hour, however long this video is, watching that, you will learn more, I promise, than playing for that same amount of time. You have two fantastic brains talking about the game. This type of content is absolutely amazing, and it's always criminally underwatched, especially when you look at how many people actually play. So,
yeah, it's interesting that way. I would say even like your previous show was very focused on this kind of thing, which you did with Cats a lot of the time too, where you guys kind of had programmers on and you broke down stuff going on, and your viewership was good back then too. It wasn't. I'm not trying to make the same point, but there is a weird feeling of like interest isn't there, but the people that are interested are like really interested.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to help them get out of their skin because they're like, I love this shit. And you're like, okay, well, tell people about it. Help me make it, something bigger. And they're like, no, I don't want to. Just keep making it. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes hand in hand too, right? If you're like someone who's really obsessed with getting better at StarCraft, you're a little bit more of a loner already and stuff, and don't really think in that way. So, yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to fix it, but that's why we're here doing This Week in StarCraft. Guys, check out Katz's content, youtube.com/wearecats, and that's with a Z because he's cool. He's not putting an S there. What? That's just plural cat.
He's very cool, yeah.
Right. Hajin-sun, the great translator, interviews from GSL Super Tournament. She's over in Korea right now. Yeah. She's very nice and been doing quite a few interviews with some really interesting hook lines with who, like, Dark Thinking is better than Sarah and all that. So far, she's gotten Solar, Dark, Classic, and the Jin Air Green Wings head coach. And it looks like everything's at Korizon.net. So KORIZON.net. All right, incoming transmission, number 1718 with nice username. He talked to Penguin and to Funka. The Funka one will be released on Friday. Check out nice YouTube channel, nice YT channel on YouTube. Chinese AI defeats StarCraft 2's AI. Researchers from Chinese tech giant Tencent recently developed a pair of AI agents capable of defeating StarCraft 2's AI on the highest difficulty levels in full matches. Whoa! So the actual game itself has an AI, and now AI is made by outside companies that beaten it. Wow, that's kind of interesting. Definitely have to look more into that in the future. That's on thenextweb.com, but I guess you should click on the show notes, and that'll be written down everywhere in the description, wherever you're listening to or watching this podcast. Interview with London Spitfire head coach, Coach 815, formerly a StarCraft coach. That was on inventglobal.com. Return of the Icy Far with Pig. So the Icy Far challenge, this time it's Noah's Ark. Use as many different types of units as possible. Smiley face. Send the replays to eonblue95 at gmail.com by Monday night EU time as an attachment with Icy Far as a title. This is basically the Fun Day Monday or whatever that was called from Day 9 that he does now for Icy Far, and people always have a lot of fun with that. So
I cast your something replays.
I cast your freaking awesome replays.
There it is. But he's Australian, so it's not freaking, probably.
Yeah.
C is either cast or something else too. Yeah, exactly.
Wow, Jeff. Denver lost dinosaur, bro. Oh my god. All right. Keen has renewed his contract with Team Revolution. Keen's been having a great year. You and I have talked about it a lot on the show, Jeff, and he continues to do well. Not like winning stuff yet, but this guy's now like around a 16 player, so congrats to him and Team Revolution.
Yep.
Tasia is back with Team Liquid. Are you guys excited about that?
Yo, I haven't gotten to see a whole lot of his games and stuff, but from what I've heard, he just looks like he's just improving super duper fast. He's getting really good really quickly.
He's an amazing talent. He always was. Like, towards the end of his career, what's really funny is that he was actually not practicing that much at all, and he was one of the most dominant players I've ever seen. I think the game was a lot worse back then, so I don't mean to say that, like, There was just some players that were just better than everybody else, and he was one of them. But it's so funny because for me, I like Tasia. He's not a bad guy, obviously. I love his gameplay because it's, again, watching someone truly talented play. But he, as a person, is one of the most boring and like kind of weird. I can't detach from the one time at Homestory Cup where they like literally he won like his 4th, and they were like, "How do you feel?" And he's like, "Well, I keep winning these $10,000 tournaments, and then I can't win the $20,000 one, so I feel really bad." And we're all like, "Oh my god!"
The prize money's a little too low for me for this tournament, but it's all right.
But he's amazing to watch, and that was something that'll always keep me going. So as far as him streaming is concerned, am I super excited? Not really, but for people that like top-tier Terran play, because I know Terran's complained there's not a lot of Terran streams for them as well, then that's cool. Him competing next year in WCS and at GSL and all that stuff, I'm super pumped. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see some of these older players come back and actually do well after military service, because it was always a death sentence before. So.
Yeah.
All right. And from GGE Mini, here's the new build of the week, and you can check it out on our All Things Protoss. Looks like it's Classics Flexible, double Oracle and a +2 Charge Lot Immortal Archon PvP build. E-Mini continues to help support the Protoss scene in a great way. All right, a few more things. For Brood War now, switching over. Have at you number 21 finals. Sham2's tournament on twitch.tv/Sham2. You can check that all out on Liquipedia and on teamliquid.net. That's generally where they have it. It looks like Biel won over Spire
Very cool.
on number 21. Biel, the guy who won the ACS, the Amateur League out in Korea, and qualified for ASL. He did get stomped in ASL, but new blood. Always good to see. And so I'm sure that those are some great games. All right, the STPL Round 3 from Kix has been going on. And yeah, so anyways, it's just him and Rapid casting it for the most part. You can check it out on youtube.com/STPLTV, and there's threads on Team Liquid and all that. All the Brood War stuff is pretty much concentrated in those forums. A big announce for StarCraft 1 right now. The BSL, the Bombastic Star League, Season 5 has been announced. Now, this is the one with Zero. Can we all say his YouTube channel together, please? youtube.com/Didek. Right? But yeah, he's done like a lot of great things with the BSL overall. And now Blizzard is sponsoring it, basically. So the big ladder season just started. All the foreigners are super active, laddering away to try to get into the Pro League or the Chobo League. It's got a lot of slots in it. It's a lot of fun. You can kind of just search, like if you go on starlog.gg, you can just type in the BSL 5 tag and see where all the foreigners are ranked and things like that. So it's just super awesome, basically. Cool. You have to be outside of South Korea, of course, to play in it. It's a foreigners-based league. But definitely check that out, and you can check it out on the thread on Team Liquid. That's probably the easiest place.
Is that
so congrats. I don't think so. I see that link there.
It says it's on base trade. That's funny. It can't be right though, right?
I think it was probably just a mispost. Normally it's on Zero's channel is what it is, because he kind of runs everything, and then he'll grab like a co-caster, like him and Nyoke, and cast a lot of it together. So
we'll figure that out and fix the show notes. Sorry.
No problems. All right, QCL Power Overwhelming Team League. Oh, this is a Crank thing. Okay, well, you can check it out on Liquipedia. It looks... Oh, yes. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't realize what the name of this was. But this is that team league that Crank was talking about. Looks like it has been underway. I like the names of some of these teams.
Beyond the Kids.
94 fam. Yeah. Beyond the Kids. That's funny. Innovation One Man. All right. One Man team. Innovation One Man team with Innovation Sue and Zest. Those are some sick teams. Anyways, definitely you want to check this out, guys. This looks like it's actually insanely good. I'm sure there's a lot of good games in there. Okay. And we're just about through. Wow, there's a lot of things in StarCraft each week. You can't call this a dead game. We got more going on in this game. Or I guess we have 2 games, the StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2, but we have more going on than, like, I'm not going to say Counter-Strike, but just about everything else. Nothing beats how many things
They
Counter-Strike has
had
going on.
530 tournaments already, dude.
I know! It's so crazy. It doesn't even make sense.
This year. Yeah.
What do you even do? We did have a period like that in StarCraft 2, where I started to become stressed because I couldn't watch everything anymore. I'm like, what's going on here?
Every weekend, 8-hour, 10-hour tournaments.
Sometimes 2. All right, some upcoming Brood War tournaments. Brood War 20th anniversary, November 11th. There's an offline tournament in Moscow by Russ Brain. The prize pool is near $20,000. It's awesome. They're allowing restreams and stuff. You can check it out at goodgame.ru. That's probably not the best place to check it out. Probably check it out on Team Liquid, realistically. But yeah, November 11th, so just like a week after BlizzCon. It's awesome to see that there's a big LAN, and I'm really sad because it overlaps my vacation, so I can't do it. Really sad. Bad luck. Anyways, that is super cool. I guess that's going to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Brood War, which is the expansion. We already had the 20th year of StarCraft 1, but Brood War came out quickly thereafter. All right, SSCAIT, the Student StarCraft AI Tournament. It's in its 6th year. This has been going on for a really long time. You can check it out on Discord. Huh?
Yeah.
See, the Brood War AIs. Yeah, those have been going a long
UC
time.
Berkeley has a class where they teach you how to write the Brood War AIs.
Holy
That's cool.
fuck.
Yeah, it's super duper cool.
Why is everyone...
Who teaches it, though? I bet he's F rank. He doesn't know.
They're trying to get us to end the world. It's crazy. Look at that
Well, the
stupid
development
robot.
there is a little more prolonged because they have to go to macro games. It's not like StarCraft 2 where you can just cannon rush and shield battery, apparently.
Well, this Zerg has a lair middle of the map with 3 Evo chambers and 1 Hydra Den, so 6 years, guys.
All right. That is certainly a long time. People have been trying it. It's funny, too. I've seen some of the games, and some really wonky stuff will happen sometimes. Like, Mutalisks will get somewhere that there's just no air defense, and then everything starts to haywire. And it reminds me of human games at that point. All right. The AITT, it's a tiny code AI tournament. Submissions are due November 1st. You can go to the SSCAIT Discord channel if you're interested. Check out in the show notes. Okay, and just a couple more big announcements now. We're to the big part. First off, the Pylon show is going to BlizzCon.
We are hugely excited. It's a big deal for us. BlizzCon's an amazing show, obviously. We're on the schedule. They reached out to us. They were like, we want this content there. It's a big honor for us, so it's really cool. We got a ticket for Cobra, like as just he's going to come and produce there as well. I think Cobra said he even wants us to do like a live Pylon show in the week in between the 2 BlizzCon weekends, so we'll see if that even happens.
Yeah, if that works, it'd be cool.
But we're really excited. It's really cool news for us. It will be on, I believe, and Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's on their channel. It's on StarCraft or whatever. But we're a part of the big schedule, and we'll be up on stage. We have Day 9 on the show, so everyone that's been asking when Day 9 will be on, it's right there. Right there on the schedule.
Yes. Yeah, and that's going to be fantastic. Obviously, me, you, and Sean have done a lot of events together now, and we'll have someone from the StarCraft Remastered dev team. That'll be a very StarCraft Remastered-oriented show. I would be surprised if we touched on StarCraft 2 at all, considering the guests that we're going to have on. But that's amazing. I'm just so happy that we're going to be at BlizzCon. And here's what's going to happen. We're going to sit down with all these wonderful guests, and we're not going to quite finish this week in StarCraft, and the show's going to be over.
I feel like we'll edit out this week in StarCraft for that show. It is.
Okay, that's. Oh, Jeff, you really know, man. That's a good idea.
But it'll be really fun. We're really excited. So if you guys haven't, make sure and do what you can to watch that or be a part of it. But it doesn't affect things. There's no guarantee of some big change or whatever. It's just kind of cool for us. It's being recognized on the biggest stage.
It doesn't overlap with anything else on the StarCraft. Like WCS isn't going to be going on. It's not during the What's Up Next for StarCraft panel. Like, you guys should just be watching that.
Yep.
Indeed. Cool. Everyone watch that. Okay, another big thing about BlizzCon, we mentioned this when it was first announced. Go behind the scenes during BlizzCon opening week. They're selling some passes so that you can go around and kind of see what it's like backstage and stuff. You're going to have to check that out on the wcs.starcraft2.com website. I don't want to go over every little aspect of it, but definitely do check that out. Also, Dark Horse and Blizzard are reuniting for StarCraft Soldiers comic series. You know, when I saw that Dark Horse and Blizzard reunite, I was like, oh, is Lee not going to be playing in Blizzard? Oh, no, that's not it. Okay, well, there's going to be more comics. And it looks like the launch date is going to be January 23rd, 2019, so it's coming right up. And then a big and very sad news, actually.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, well, here, let me just say it. Blizzard co-founder Mike Morhaime stepping down after 27 years. Now, this is one of the founders of Blizzard, one of the creators, literal creators of StarCraft, and probably the biggest ally that StarCraft esports and StarCraft as a game has had over the years. Like, Mike Morhaime literally actually loves StarCraft, and it's not like he watches the events. He has a great time. I've gotten to spend a lot of time with Mike and gotten to know him a lot over the past. I met him about 10 years ago. He's just like a big part of why we have everything we have is because he believes in StarCraft. So I mean, I'm really sad to see him stepping down, to be honest.
Yeah, he doesn't just believe in it, he's actually a fan, which is such an incredibly cool thing. And I think a lot of people will hear us talking about this and just assume that we're kind of like we have to be fans of Mr. Morhaime, or like we just like, of course we like him a lot because, you know, he's the Blizzard guy. No, it like Dan said, I've stayed at his house. He always comes over and says hi to the group. He like actually plays the game, which is one of my favorite ongoing jokes, is that like I know he's been yelled at by somebody on the ladder, and they're actually yelling at Mike Morhaime, a guy that could like I mean, it's just funny. Anyways, but this is to kind of echo off of what Dan was just saying. Him stepping down doesn't mean like the company's. The nice thing is this is like on his terms. It sounds like there's no, from what I can tell, there's no like he did a terrible job or firing or anything like that. He's going to remain on board, but this is the guy that was like the soul and spirit in a lot of ways of StarCraft at Blizzard. So I can't help but to hear this and be sad in that way. But I am also happy for Mike Morhaime. He has a very young girl that's kind of his whole world, and a lovely, you know, Amy's an amazing woman, and they're going to be able to spend more time together and live out their days, still consulting for Blizzard, but doing whatever the hell they want with more time. Because that's the other thing too is Mike is not like he didn't put in 10 hours of work every week or something like that. This guy was flying around in a helicopter to get to all to get to all the stuff to represent Blizzard and to do right by them. He's an amazingly hard worker. And one of the most well-liked CEOs, by the way, at I can't remember the name of the website, but he's actually rated like one of the highest. Glassdoor. He's really, really highly rated.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I would imagine so, too, because, like, I mean, we get to talk to him a lot of these events. He's a great guy and super friendly, and I will miss him leading Blizzard, you know? So I hope that the guy that is replacing him will do a good job. Yeah, it's, I'm sad.
It's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that it?
Well, that's this week in StarCraft.
Hey, it only took you about 40 minutes, too.
It wasn't bad.
No, you did a great job. I'm having the same laugh that we have. We're like, when we started the show, I'm going to say it again, and not that this is super complimentary to the people behind the scenes a little bit, but they were like, you guys have enough to talk about every week about StarCraft? I don't think you do. And we're like, are you kidding me? And then this segment's actually bloating so much so that we're going to have to start telling people no. Like, guys, I want you to wrap your head around this. There's a chance that the Pizza Bi-Weekly is not going to be mentioned on one of our episodes because it's just, there's too much crust, you know?
There's like a sub-episode that airs after the Pylon show that's just pre-recorded if you guys went through This Week in StarCraft.
It's just a Q&A and This Week in StarCraft, and it's just like 4 hours long.
You know, I was thinking of maybe if we did that, but I don't know. I think it's also an important thing that we get to really highlight some of the great things going on, like Katz's thing, and I mean,
no. The segment's gonna stay. It's just how we do it. We'll just keep speeding up. Dan did a great job. He did that really fast. I did it last week, and it literally took us an hour and a half. So it's probably. And
the thing is, most of our views aren't live, so people can fast forward through it if they're not super interested in that. But I think a lot of people probably are like, oh, let me see, you know, if there's some other stuff. You know, if you're listening to a podcast or on YouTube or on Jeff's Twitch, if you're a sub, you know, those are. anyways.
Okay.
This week in StarCraft's all done.
All done. Thank you, everyone, for, of course, submitting that. A big shout out to Alessandra and Cobra for getting a lot of that information, and just much love to the scene. We have a lot to talk about. But let's get into our topic. So to roadmap this a little bit, I believe, without looking at it right in front of me, that towards the end of this, and I should have mentioned this earlier, but me being me, I didn't. We will be having ZhuGeLiang join us, a Finnish Zerg player that's been a GM and semi-pro or pro for a long time. He's going to be coming on for a fun discussion on manner in StarCraft 2. So what I mean by that is like dancing units, dropping mules, what you say, how you talk, all that kind of stuff. Cobra's about to try to write something to me right now, so maybe it's happening soon. Anyways, that's going to be a really fun discussion. We tried to have Harstum on, but Harstum's got to be at the Take tournament tomorrow, and this would be our conversation right now is about 3 a.m. German time or whatever, so it's very understandable that he was like, no, I can't do it. Risky. Now, Risky's not invited to Take's tournament, as far as I know, because Risky is mostly a shit tier player. And then Risky was part of the person in this debate and was going to be. I invited him on the show, but he didn't want to stay up for it. It's cracking into his sleep schedule. He has to wake up, I believe, in about 7.5 hours to shitpost on Reddit, and then he's got to get some ladder games in there to Zergling and Baneling bust people for roughly about 4 or 5 hours before he then takes to Twitter and talks shit again without backing up any of it. So, unfortunately...
If you keep trash talking this, we're going to have to schedule a show match that he won't show up for.
He'd show up for that one, I guarantee you, because he's like, I'll play the control guy. Yeah, that's fine. I think he'd show up to that one. No, Risky's a good guy. He's really funny. He's obviously a big memer, but I have to admit, when someone cites their sleep schedule for why they don't want to come on, and they're like this whole show's about trying to shine a light on other people and get you, because Risky's really funny and he's English. He's got a decent accent. You guys would probably have liked him, but he's like, no, it's at a bad hour, mate. You can't do it. I'm like, oh, fuck off. Get out of here. So anyways, we tried. Harstum, great excuse. Risky. We'll probably see him at a Home Story Cup. But speaking of the devil, it's actually going to happen. We're going to have that conversation right now. We are joined in a minute here as Cobra does some camera magic, or maybe a little bit less than camera magic, but how do you pronounce your name? Is it ZhuGeLiang? How do you pronounce your name? I'm going to stop butchering it.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you guys hear me properly?
Yeah, you're good.
It's in Chinese, it's ZhuGeLiang.
Oh, okay.
Then in English, I don't really know.
Yeah. Okay,
well, I guess it's a name, so it would just be that. It would just be that.
I mean, this guy is the chancellor of one of the 3 countries in the romance of the 3 kingdoms history. Yeah, one of the most famous guys. But yeah, and then just to introduce myself, I'm gonna pop it up with a fun joke because Jeff has already.
Please do.
I'm the hand of King Jonathan Christian Wartown, and I've been serving for House Sotala, aka Wartown, for 7 years at this point, starting with Cyril's big brother, original American. And yeah, you guys might be wondering, what's the responsibility of being hand of king? And I can give you a story. The other day, I'll only tell one good Cyril story today. And
please do. Yeah.
So it comes to me. It's like, I'm using your mouse. It clicks differently. And then what happened is, he only has one mouse, and I thought that, hey, Cyril doesn't have a backup mouse. What happens if he goes to a tournament and his mouse breaks, and then admins have to go running around and try to find the same mouse for him? And I gave him a backup mouse, and now, yeah, it broke. Well, thankfully during practice, but if he didn't have this mouse, he'd be kind of sitting around playing Nintendo Switch or something.
There you go. You saved us from having a. Damn. That would be the worst, is if a player like Cyril had to lose a match because they're like, we found you a Macintosh, cat mouse thing, and you got to play with that, and he just obviously sucks. So thank you for sparing us. But I'm
always shocked if a pro doesn't bring an extra mouse and keyboard to tournaments. It's like, really?
Does that shock you? Does that shock you?
It shouldn't.
Does it shock you that they don't or that they probably should.
Have you met Petit Drogo? Have you met that?
Well, his bag would just be lost anyway, so it doesn't matter if he brings it.
He's so funny. Actually, before we proceed, though, with this conversation, which I'm really excited for, I'm going to do that thing that I know that Ravi and Dan are also wanting to ask, but won't because they're hoping I will. What do we call you, though? Because I can't call you the name you just said, because I'm...
Call me by my first name, Wenlei.
Wenlei. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, good.
Can I just call you ZhuGeLiang? Because that's how I
Are
usually
you going to
say
try
it.
that?
Ravi is good at pronouncing this.
Is that all? ZhuGeLiang?
What?
Can I just call you Idra? Is that all right?
No.
Oh, my God. I think one of the most obnoxious... I know it's like they're not doing it maliciously, but I think one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life is when a white guy like overpronounces a different name, and it's just... I can't be that guy. It's just too hard for me because I look like an idiot. Anyways, so we had a... Why don't you set the... The topic is manners and what's etiquette in laddering. But you were a part of a spirited conversation between you, Harsum, and Risky, I would say, right? So you want to set the groundwork for what happened there and what you guys were talking about?
All right, I'll try my best. So I think this was maybe half a year or a bit more.
What?
This was from a long time ago. It was like a bit before Nation Wars, or quite a bit before Nation Wars, and we talked about it during Nation Wars. I mean, both the Netherlands, and we qualified to the offline final, so we already had that conversation back then. And then when Ravi made the video, I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring this back. I'm just gonna make the joke again because we kind of agreed.
We talked about it was like it happened 2 days ago, and you were really upset about it.
No, this was a long time ago. And so basically, what happened? He like killed my third base on Blackpink, and then I still somehow got into lurkers.
Blackpink, he says.
Camping 2 base with lurkers. And Harstem doesn't want to run in, but then he's getting a bit frustrated. But of course, I didn't know it was Harstem. And then this kind of drama spewed over. So let's just think about this from... I'm going to go because I'm taking some math and computer science courses. So I'm going to go and analyze this. So let's just define the probability of winning in terms of my skill to say my opponent's skill. That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. The second thing is the state of the game, like how ahead or behind I am. So in this situation, obviously Harstem is 600, 700, 800 MMR more than me, and he was really ahead. So the probability of me winning is very low. Okay, so that's his argument. And because the probability is so low, he thinks that it's the same as Bly or Firecake building hatches all around the map.
Firecake!
Everybody is following so far?
Yeah, you're doing great.
Okay, good. Okay, so the next thing is, so then he's like, okay, you're wasting my time, or both of our time. So the next thing is, how should I follow this up?
You were saying the probability of beating the situation, right? Like the meta, I guess.
Yeah, so my argument to that is, I don't know who I'm playing against. So I don't know if I'm playing against like 6,800 MMR or 5,200 MMR. Like let's say I'm 6,000. I'm around 6,000. So I don't know if the probability of me playing against Harstem is the same as probability playing against the 5,200 MMR.
Yeah.
And then their argument is like if you would be playing against 6,000 around even your level, like you would totally lose that game. So you're still like staying around for no reason. And then my final argument to that is. Because I would lose, I wouldn't really care if I lost like 5 or 10, 15 ladder points. But if it is someone around 5K and I would lose 50 points for it, I would want to, cancel for 1 hour just to win that 50 points. Because sometimes you get so depressed after you lose to someone like 1,000 MMR lower to you, and you're like, why didn't I just stay in the game and try to do everything to come back? So I mean, this is in your spirit. You guys all remember Cyril versus Rainer.
Oh yeah.
We like to do this kind of stuff.
Right, and Cyril should have been dead in that series, right, or in that game, right? So to ask you this then, and it's unfortunate, like I said, Harsum had a good excuse for not being here, but is he saying that you were being BM for staying in the game, or did he then BM you?
No, I think, well, this is getting a bit technical.
Oh, I love it. Go deep.
That's great. So in this situation, let's just talk about etiquette in StarCraft in general.
Yeah.
So I think Well, this is a bit of a longer story because I'm friends with Cyril, and I think Cyril's dad, Mark, just wore town. He used to.
Your segment is. This is my favorite segment we've ever had. Keep going. You're doing great.
So when we were little, he'd be like, kind of guiding us in these lands and telling us, like one of his big theories. Well, not big. Like one of the ideas he kept pushing really hard is you should always go shake your opponent's hands, which you see Cyril do.
I like his dad.
Say good luck, have fun, and say GG. You shouldn't say anything else.
His dad taught him this StarCraft etiquette?
What?
You're saying his dad taught him to say GG and GL and HF and shake hands?
Well, taught all of us.
Jesus. His dad
is amazing. What a good father.
Wow.
And then, so the whole thing is that the idea behind it is you shouldn't try to diminish your opponent's loss.
That's beautiful.
Opponent's win. You shouldn't diminish your opponent's win. I'm sorry.
1 second. Let me pause you there, though, because I can't help but to notice there are people writing programs for robots to play StarCraft, and out in Finland, there's a dad raising the best player in the fucking world, and you know what he taught him? To shake hands and to say GG and GL. Can a robot do that? I don't know why I drew that.
If his father programmed it, sure.
Yeah, to be fair. Okay, I was just trying to make it funny. Keep going. Sorry, this is amazing.
Okay. So you shouldn't diminish your opponent's win. If you're the loser, you shouldn't diminish your opponent's win. Meaning that after you lose, you shouldn't go after them. Say, okay, balance wine or you got lucky or stuff like that.
Yeah, I never do that.
The compliment to that is you shouldn't try to rub your win. If you're the winner, you shouldn't rub your win to the loser's face. And in this case, that's exactly what Harstem kind of did, and he kind of broke that rule. And I'm not I know Harstem is a good guy. He's a great player. He won Home Story Cup and the Shanghai tournament back in 2016. And it's just kind of saddens to see that, okay, so he's this great, amazing player, but then this kind of behavior. And I guess this is not the first time that I'm kind of going after Harstem a little bit, but
actually, I'm really glad. I'm very happy you brought this up because that is a point of contention in StarCraft etiquette. There is this belief that if you're dead in the game, you should get out, and you're wasting time otherwise. And before you continue, I want to kind of kick it to Ravi and Dan because you guys, of course, come from different kinds of StarCraft backgrounds. But where do you guys fall in that discussion? Because that's something that people believe very strongly. Here's the other thing to define. I love how technical we're getting about this, by the way, because this is amazing. But floating buildings or building proxy pylons versus being down 80 supply in a base or two, I feel like that's very different things. I think nobody is going to defend floating bases, you fucking Terran players. Or
it's a difference of intent, right?
Go ahead, yeah.
Intent to win versus that.
So if you think, can I infer from, I want you guys to speak, but if you think you have, and this is great that he opened up this way, if you have a 25% chance to win, staying in there, that's not a bad thing to you guys?
No,
Dan, do you want to go first?
Of course not. No, if you have any chance to win, and even if you don't have a chance to win, it's okay to stay in the game. You can stay in the game and try your best. This is how we learn. You should be putting out full effort, and if you're trying to get better and trying to figure out different ways to come back from being behind, otherwise, how the hell are you going to lose? How are you going to learn? If you leave every game the moment that you're behind, listen, I've stood around a lot of pro gamers and watched them watch games, and the way they speak about it is very oftentimes with very many pro gamers is the most hyperbolic thing that you will ever hear in your life, where it's like, oh, he's dead. No, now he's dead. Wow, he's dead. And it's just, it goes back and forth, and it's like, well, they were both dead 4 times already. Wow. Shit, I guess it's a good thing that he didn't leave the game, huh? Because it keeps going back and forth. Because there's comeback potential. So, no, you can always stay in the game, 100%.
Actually, just a funny story on that. I was at WCS Montreal, and during I think it was, it wasn't the grand finals, but I was just sitting next to Cyril, and he was just in the player area watching the games, and he was sitting there. It was a PVZ, and he was just like, oh, the Protoss is totally super duper got this. This is so over. Because I'm saying oh, I think that. Oh, what do you think of this? And he was like, oh no, Protoss is super duper got this. Zerg's super dead. 45 seconds later, Zerg is super duper got this. Protoss is so dead. 45 seconds later, literally this happens 5-6 times, and Cyril's like, well, they just keep throwing. What do you want me to say?
Which is
That's
the thing.
Starcraft.
This is
That's
like
a
the round
summary
of
of Starcraft right there.
This is like the round of 8 match 2. It's like actually just a really good match, but just every 30 or 45 seconds, Cyril's like, it's already over.
But Zero's like 500 MMR higher than him.
Exactly. It's expectation that you're going to like play this super duper top notch. I think that's actually the biggest difference, is that there is like this expectation that your opponent isn't going to make mistakes. Like Idra was the big person that everyone remembers, is like, okay, I'm behind. Therefore, if my opponent plays correctly from this position, they're just going to win. Like, I shouldn't be able to come back. But that doesn't actually happen. I mean, we literally saw in Challenger, like I think it was the final or something, Cyril versus Lambo, where Lambo is actually ahead in the game. He's like up 60, 70 supply, has lurkers and like exact same army compositions and everything. Jeff, you and I were casting that. And he just walks his whole army in through like blinding clouds into lurkers and just instantly loses a ton of stuff. This happens at like the top level actually frequently. It actually does happen quite a bit that people make mistakes. And I think people, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about this because I made a whole video about it that I released like yesterday. I really, really think that like there's that whole aspect of it, but also just I think one underrated aspect is that a lot of players, if you like play on the ladder and you're just constantly trying to like GG out as soon as you think you're behind, I think you actually lose out on like practice or something, which is like playing from behind, because you have to actually play a little bit differently when you're playing from behind. You have to take more risks. You're doing things that you don't normally do. So if you just never do that, and then you get into a tournament situation where you're like, it's elimination, you actually try and stick around, suddenly you're not like actually going to have the experience with that. So you're not actually as good at that. So even if you don't have any chance to win, I think it's still worth doing that and like practicing that.
I agree. I think that is not entirely, but it is taking a different direction, because I think what's kind of funny about this topic, and it is multi-layered, so like I said, you're not way off topic, but like there's an actual anger, there's an actual like etiquette thing that gets discussed on this subject, where there are people, and I'm not trying to frame them as being completely wrong or whatever, but they do believe that if you are at a certain point, completely arbitrary by the way, so far behind, you are doing something wrong by staying in the game. And I always thought that was interesting, because my take on it has always been like, it's funny, right? Like when a guy is like on his final medevac and 8 Marines and microing at the top of his ramp at the 36th minute mark, and the other guy has like a 200 max out army. It's like, okay, yeah, stay in. Yeah, that's fine. Micro, sure. It's a completely pointless 25 seconds, but whatever. We just laugh. But when it's like but there are players, and Idra is the ultimate example, so I almost don't even want to talk about Idra because that was like so ridiculous. But there are guys who, kind of like the Hearthstone example with ZhuGeLiang here, where it was like 2-base lurker, that is actually winnable. You can win from there. If they throw their whole army into that, if you're able to crawl out and turtle up for 4 or 5 bases and the Protoss just gets frustrated, which they do, you can win from there. And he's not wrong to stay.
Yeah, my point is that I've had games like that before, and in one broadcasted tournament game, like we have this Finnish Home Story Cup type of tournament every year. I was 1 base to like 2. I Baneling busted fail, and then he killed my natural with DTs. I mean, he was like around 5k, but because I'm playing against the barcode and I don't know what's gonna happen, so I'm just gonna stick around, and that's my ultimate argument.
I just want to say, sorry, really quickly, like on my ladder games, I'm saying from my own experience, I am Masters League with literally just making Dark Templar. About 80 to 70% of my games that go past the 15-minute mark, there is a point in the game where I am at 12 to like 20 supply versus 100 supply army, and I still win. Like of the games that I win, about 80% of them, there's a point where I'm down almost 100 supply, and I still win. Like you can actually make comebacks with the right units if you like have the, like what Jeff was saying. Yeah, you have the right units available, or you just think about what you can do with your units.
Well, we're gonna go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
Just real quick about this, because I think we need to get into the bad mannering portion of it. Yeah, but like on the actual staying in game thing, like you're always allowed to stay in the game. Obviously, intent matters. If you're hiding buildings and stuff, regardless of what we say about the other things, your opponent's allowed to manner mule you and dance on you and stuff. You're hiding hatcheries and extractors and pylons, and it's not because it's a base trade. it's because you're dead and you're being an ass, then that's bad. But other than that, it's like, just get with it. There's win conditions on the game. Go fulfill them if you want your victory.
I tend to absolutely agree with that. This is next level production, though. We are going to move to the actual kind of BM discussion, which also we're going to get deep on. But Rotterdam had a soundbite on his stream talking about the subject, because I invited him on the show, but he also has to travel to Take's house, so he couldn't do it. But Cobra's got this ready to go, so you can hear what Roddy was saying.
I'll give you my take real quick. Let's just be honest, it's all fucking BM. Dancing is BM, Manamuling is fucking BM, Offensive Smiley is fucking BM, and the Offensive GG is all BM. It's just one is the in-your-face BM and the other one is the solo BM. But my take is that it's all fucking BM. And that's okay, but just know that you're aware of it.
And I guess there's a part 2.
Mules or Manor Hatch, Manor Nexus is all BM. Let's be honest. It's just somehow it's like social acceptable to do that kind of stuff. How do you say that? Whatever. Alright, let's take a look at this guy's profile.
I think you can stop it there, Cobra.
3-9.
Okay.
Well, hang on. There's a part 2.
Manamuling.
Oh.
But let's be honest. If there is this dude on ladder that every single time he beats you, he drops 5 mules in your face, and then next week you would somehow meet him at an offline gathering, and he comes up to you and he's like, "Oh, hey man, it's nice to meet you," with a smile on your face. The first thought that would go to my mind is like, "Yeah, you Manamuling piece of shit. It's so nice to meet you too." That's what I would think, I'll be honest. And then I would probably spike his drink and make him shit all over the place. Something like that, but...
Alright, so I think
it's not that I get angry about it, I definitely will remember.
The Pylon Show does not condone spiking someone's drink. You don't need to do that. So I do want to move this conversation over to, and I'm so glad that you're here, ZhuGeLiang, because the European ladder is absolutely infested with shitbirds that just say really mean stuff. A lot of obsession with cancer and fire over there, by the way, which we can have a whole nother episode talking about why that would be the case. But BMing. So this is, of course, in-game stuff like dancing your units. It's offensive GGs. It's obviously there's no discussion to be had for like someone literally just verbally abusing somebody. We all know that's BM. I guess the funny discussion here, and the reason we have those Roddy sound bites, is like when someone manner mules you. Is that a shitty thing to do? Is that being a dick, or is that just a part of the game?
It is a shitty thing to do. Okay, there's different tiers of bad manner. Okay, so like for instance, if you are angry that you lost, it's like, yeah, everyone gets angry, right? If you leave without a GG, that is technically bad manner. Okay, you should be GGing 100%, but if you leave without a GG, it is not as bad as when your opponent realizes he has won the game, him typing GG to you. If you have won the game and you bad manner, it is 10 times worse than if you lose the game in bad manner. Because when you lose the game, it's like you're frustrated with yourself. It's still bad manner. It should be unacceptable, right? But like, if you're doing something, I can't, when I get manner muled, it is so frustrating because it's like, it always comes, everyone knows, if you play a lot of Starcraft, you know the millisecond that you've lost the game. It is literally like one extra zealot dies in the battle and you're like, oh, this game's done. And your opponent sees it and they know as well, right? And then the mules come down immediately. And it's like, wow, at the exact moment that we both know that I lost this game, you got to shove it in my face with manner mules?
Yeah.
That is so bad. It is a terrible thing to do.
And just to be clear, by the way, because this always comes up when we discuss this stuff, there's going to be somebody that's like, there's nothing you can do, so who cares? It's like, we're discussing etiquette in StarCraft. No, I don't necessarily say you go the Roddy route where you meet the person and spike their drink and make them shit their brains out.
No.
But it's just like, what's kind of funny about this is there is real-world implications. When someone's just a shithead on ladder, I've experienced it. Dan and I and some of us are old enough to have been around for when they were a young, shitty person. And they're like, you know what? I'm going to join a pro gaming team and I'm going to try to take this thing pretty serious. And a lot of them mature, but some people still remain shitters. Like Guru, I think, is a pretty darn good example where he's a player that's a really good guy, but he's actually losing money. Story. What's that?
I've got a great Guru story.
You go. Take it.
So Guru is actually there's a few people. I guess there's a lot of people who study computer science and also play Starcraft at decent semi-pro level. And Guru and Thorminator are the only two, and I guess Tefl as well. They're actually like professional programmers as well. So all the other players were like only good at StarCraft 2 and decent at StarCraft 2 and then really bad at programming. While like Guru actually made it as a professional programmer. He's also done all kinds of weird jobs that I have a hard time believing, like working in a Philips light bulb factory and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Oh, yeah, I actually heard that. Is that he did? Yeah, he's done some weird stuff. But, well, okay. So that's. By the way, I just want to reinforce what Dan said. Dan is he's been around since the beginning. So any of your BM that you guys have seen, Dan was there when it was created. He saw like the first caveman StarCraft player like lift up their building and floated away.
I felt the first offensive GG and it hurt. Okay, and it still hurts to this day every time someone offensive GGs, and it's pretty crazy. It's like this is the hardest game in the world, right? And we're all actually just brave humans to even play it, to even attempt it. Your ego is getting smashed all the time, and then there's some little shit on the other end that's typing GG or dropping mules on you or building a hatchery in your face or telling you to get out of the game. It's just it should be more unacceptable. And the thing is, the ladder system actually helps this to occur. Because back in when you had to find every ladder game yourself and host it, you couldn't be that bad manner. You could be a certain level of bad manner. You could sneak a little bad manner in, but just the fact that you can auto queue and just always get good games. You don't even, that's, and the thing is that should exist. The ladder system's way better now, but this is something that has been hurt because of it. Because like some of these people, like the Guru or something, right? Like people would just not play against them unless they were way better and wanted free points and didn't give a shit. But they'd just be like, no, man, you're an asshole. I'm not going to, there was some people that were so bad manner in Brood War that we just wouldn't even play against them. And then they'd have a very limited practice pool. And so, yeah.
Misters was a funny case of that.
That was the one I was thinking about.
Yeah. Incredibly good player, very good, but just people didn't want to play him. Sorry, Robbie, you were going to say something?
Opinions have been voiced, all right?
Yeah.
I actually disagree with a lot of what you guys are saying.
Do it.
So I'm actually on the opposite end. I think, like Jeff already mentioned, totally agree. Like, obviously, if you're saying something bigoted or, like, actually just... I think most of the time when you're saying something, if it's, like, super bad manner, like, obviously that's not okay. Like, that clearly crosses the line a lot of the time. But stuff like manor mules and like dancing your units and that kind of stuff, I actually think is totally fine. I actually think that's more than okay, because most of the time that it's like in-game BM, you are deliberately, like the reason why it's BM is because you're deliberately giving your opponent a handicap and you're saying that you can still win. And hey, if you can do that, then awesome, more power to you. If someone's doing that to you, then cool, like take advantage of it. And if you're already dead, then, and if you already gave up on the game, then whatever, like it's already over.
So hold on though. In the millisecond that me and my Terran opponent realize that I've lost, I've had games where I take my hand off to type GG and I have to backspace because he manner mules me. In that amount of time, because I already know we know it's done and the mules come down. And you think that's totally cool? That's totally fine?
I think it's totally fine.
So what can I do as a Protoss to be totally fine and do that to the Terran when I win?
Well, I'm just saying, I've been trying to push Blizzard to allow any units to throw down sprays, not just workers, so that any units could
sprays.
Throw down, like...
You want more bad manner!
No, so here's the thing. So there's two different situations. There's a competitive situation where I actually really think that these in-game BM-ish situations that are like not obviously like chat oriented or being like bad manner in that way, if it's like a tournament, I actually think strategic value and stuff. And like if you manner mule someone and they get tilted by that, hey, you're going to the next game, you got an advantage. Like that's, I think that's actually a lot of the advantage of also doing cheese and stuff. But then there's the ladder stuff where I also still think like you have to remember that while a lot of people look at the ladder as like self-improvement, some people just look at it as like, this is my goal, I'm gonna try and climb up in ranks and stuff. So if you do that and you tilt your opponent, I agree. It does sort of start crossing the line if it's literally like right after the GG moment or something. But if you think that your opponent has like any chance still left in the game, and then you throw out like the Manor Mules or something to tilt them so that they start playing worse or something, like, hey, you're increasing your chance to win the game because they're going to be like super frustrated or something. They're just going to like A-move in and be like, fuck this guy. Like, I'm going to do everything I can. And you're going to start making really aggressive mistakes. I don't know. Like, I actually think that's okay.
ZhuGeLiang, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually going to zoom out and get really philosophical here.
Jesus, I love you.
So, if we think about this, like if we think about this from a Yuval Noah Harari point of view, like the guy who wrote *Sapiens*, everybody knows him. So he would probably, interpret StarCraft or esports in general as an achievement for humanity, where we can kind of do violent delights inside a virtual environment, and then we can go on with our real life and be civilized people. This is kind of the counter argument why something like Westworld is just, StarCraft or esports is like the counter argument to that kind of reality, because we've already proven that we can play this really violent game and then we can still be really good friends outside of the game, and we're just, it's a very civilized community overall. We haven't had incidents where pro gamers start actually fighting or anything like that.
Yeah, and, I would do well there. Go ahead.
And also, I think we all come from different walks of life. For example, yesterday, the Nobel winner for chemistry, I've actually kind of seen her or been in a room like a few years ago listening to her give a speech with the president there and all of that. This is in Finland. And like just thinking about her as a role model and thinking about humanity, like what do we want StarCraft to be? Do we want StarCraft to be kind of this casual sports type of game where, we just kind of, we say mean stuff to each other and there's a lot of entertainment. Of course I find that entertaining, but should we take like more of a civilized route, like be gentlemen like the people in chess? So I guess it's like an identity issue of what we want StarCraft to be. Yeah.
I have to give a fucking virtual standing ovation. You're exactly right. I think that's a beautiful response and incredibly so here's the thing. In isolation, when someone drops mules on you, are they doing something evil? Is that the worst thing to happen to you that day? Probably not. And it's not, right? It is in the game.
I lost a StarCraft game and mules got dropped on me. It might be the worst thing to happen that day.
Okay, so for Dan, it might actually be. But I love the perspective of, and I'll get a little bit emotional myself. I'll say that, like a lot of people have preconceived notions of who I am, and I'm a very confident, brass guy, but I have bad days too. I'm going through a really terrible time emotionally for myself, and StarCraft has always been one of my big escapes. When I was growing up, my parents went through a brutal divorce, and I buried myself in StarCraft. That's where I found Dan and some of my best friends for life, and I made a team, and I led a national team. Like that's what got me through it. Is I was so excited about how cool that was. And it's not to say that part of your experience isn't dealing with shitheads, because that is, and no matter what, no one's going to say like, guys, imagine a world where nobody drops mules. No, we're not saying that, but on a couple of those rough days, it didn't happen very often, but you'd encounter like a person who's just trying to make you feel bad. They're just like, I'm going to do whatever I can in game and out. I'm going to try to hurt your feelings. And on any other day, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But on a day where you're having a really bad day, that person doesn't know that they're driving a needle under your fingernail. Like, they don't know that they're hurting you really bad, but they're taking that risk by doing that. And this is the part that I can't separate myself from. To what advantage? Like the best we can get is Ravi saying you might tilt them for future ladder games or in competition. That's the best argument you can make. The other one is like, for shits and giggles, man, for the memes. Like, that's what an edgelord in the chat's going to be like. It's just all fun and games. It's like, that's fine. But the disadvantage, and it's twofold too. It's not just you could be messing up somebody's shitty day, but I'm thinking of situations like, I believe it was Naniwa that danced as Zealots at an MLG and then lost that game. If he doesn't dance as Zealots and loses that game, it's just another game, and everyone's like, that's fine, you lost. I think it was to MC, I want to say, or like some Korean. It was an amazing match. But because he danced as Zealots, guys, a lot of you weren't around for this. They talked about it for years. It would be like 4 years later, and he's still getting shit about those Zealots. If Naniwa was on the show and we were like, do you regret dancing the Zealots? I mean, he'd be like, absolutely not. I fucking hate people. But what he would want to say in his head is like, yeah, it's not worth it. It's just simply not. Now the counter argument to this, which I already know, is it provides entertainment. It provides drama. So that's why I'm a little bit in the middle. Like in competition, when Huck would do some of the stuff that he did, I fucking loved it. Now, a lot of it was not to his opponent. It would be like winking at the camera. It would be like wearing a party hat, typing funny stuff in game. And then I do like our villains. I liked the guys that did BM because you wanted them to lose. You liked watching it, right? Like it makes it interesting in the scene. I think that's on a different plane than what you do get, which is that guy on ladder that's a barcode, and like Dan said, the second he wins, he just slams down a bunch of mules on you. Or what happens on North America a bunch, and this is the weirdest one. This goes into a different world. They pause, unpause really fast 3 times.
That one's dumb. Yeah.
But it's so Hearthstone, it drives me nuts. Did you guys know the history of Hearthstone? That literally you used to be able to, like, I can't remember what it was. Dan might know this better, but you used to be able to say something like, or like, that's not good.
Oh, yeah.
So they changed it.
You'd spam they did. They changed how quickly you could spam.
They changed
it. Like, well played.
Over and over again. And it's such a weird...
That was a mistake. Yeah.
It's such a video game thing. It's literally not even a mean statement, but if you just say it a whole bunch, the person's like, I think they're being sarcastic. Because it's like, nice play. And you're like, this is weird to play against. So Blizzard, there was a room full of people that had to go into the game and be like, we have to engineer a slowdown on the communication because people are so shitty they'll spam a otherwise innocuous statement over and over again to try and hurt their opponent's feelings.
It's
Isn't that amazing?
Well, I mean, okay, first I want to say in competition, everything is fine. Like Robbie said, it is totally okay, I think, to drop Manor Mules. Like you're on stage and you win game 1 at WCS, and you want to drop those Manor Mules, please do. It makes it all more interesting for everyone. And this is like, the thing is, on LAN, when you're in a big tournament, there's no excuses about anything. You guys are bringing your skills, and the best players win, and that's that. And you do anything within the rules to do that, I think. Like psyching your opponent out. It's just like, how people get like a bathroom break at GSL. Their opponent has too much momentum, they take the damn bathroom break as long as they possibly can. And it's like, yeah, no, this is a smart move.
Call it the grubby.
Yeah. On ladder, though, I mean, it's a different thing. Like, people, you're sitting there on a barcode and you're doing this. The thing is, it's both ways. The reason why it hurts and the reason why you're hurting are both, like, based off of ego, right? It's like, it hurts you because you're like, oh, damn, he's better than me, and now he's making me feel bad that he's beating me. He's like, he's throwing away the shit he doesn't need anymore because we both know the game's over, and he's just like showing me that he knows that it's over. But I already know, and it's a painful thing, and it's just, I don't know, it's painful.
Can I ask you, Dan, where do you draw the line on that kind of stuff versus, like, for example, what I do is I only make Dark Templar on the ladder, or I cannon rush every single game.
No, strategically do anything you want.
So on that note, where do you draw the line exactly? Like, if I know, for example, that I would have a higher chance if I start mixing in High Templar and stuff. Like, I know that I would have a better chance of winning the game that way, if from like a just pure game perspective. But I also know that it's really infuriating to lose to Dark Templar. And that's part of the reason why I also still do it, is like not necessarily to like tilt people or like make them upset or hate their life. But I know that when people start losing the game because of the Dark Templar, I know that's actually in some ways more effective. They're going to make more mistakes than if I just made a High Templar or something and start creating like a normal army composition. Like, I actually try and take advantage of that. So is that BM? Like, I know that I'm not making the most strategically correct.
No.
But I'm playing off of my opponent's like starting to like tilt because of it.
No, that stuff's totally fine. And it's when you're doing it to grief somebody. It's the intent behind the move.
Yeah.
Intent. I agree.
No,
Look, you want to, at the beginning of the game, drop a mule into your opponent's base to show them that you're way better? Oh, go right ahead. I would never feel bad if someone did that, right?
Yeah.
You want to kill half your workers at the beginning of the game? Okay. Go ahead and do it. Like it's when the game has just ended and you're being a ass. That's when it's.
I think to me a lot of like the ambiguity comes in where it's like if the game has ended, and I know you were saying like there's a moment and sometimes you've started typing GG, but they do something like a Manor Mule before that. Like I actually agree with you for the most part. If it's like you know that like the game is about to end, obviously you don't do that kind of shit. If it's like they GG'd and then you're like Manor Muling and dancing your units, all that kind of shit, obviously. But like I think for a lot of people, it's also they don't necessarily know if like, are you gonna GG? Are you about to just like stay in the game and stuff? But I agree with intent, totally. If you know that the game is actually over and that they are actually going to leave and your opponent considers it over, then I agree. It's like not right to do. But if they don't do that, it's like still a little bit ambiguous, right? Because not every single game is that clear cut where it's just like, oh, well, I lost that zealot and now I know that I'm dead and my opponent knows that I'm dead. Because there clearly are games where that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where you're taking it, but it is based off of intent, though. Like,
yeah,
it's also like if a guy's beating you and he's like raising and lowering his depots back at home, I don't fucking care. I don't even know what's happening. Like,
my only point was what I was saying is that intent is hard to read in the game, so.
Is it though?
I mean, I've seen pro players blow up about a Manor Mule, and it actually turns out that it was a legitimate I'm repairing my siege tank mule. Like, intent is not always easy to read.
I think it's normally pretty. Like, okay, there are a couple fringe cases, but like a lot of the times it'll be like you feel like you're dead and they drop the mule, right? Or you're far behind and then Hearthstone dances on you, and it's like, damn man, aren't we professional? Especially the thing is, there's different spots on the ladder that I think can make it feel a little bit different too, where it's like, are we professionals here? You know, do we know who each other are or something like that can be another level to it. It's like, also, the thing is how you, like, even if you were a diamond playing against Hearthstone, ZhuGeLiang, and it's like, it's something like if he dances on you, right? It's like how you, what is that statement? Like how you treat like the person who matters least to you is how you, I don't know, something like that. You guys know what I'm trying to go to, where it's like, I mean, there's something about character there, and I mean, I don't mean to be all high and mighty because I'm definitely someone who bad manners from time to time and is an asshat, but you know,
I is that I never bad manner, and I'm here defending it, and you're the one against it.
But
I know it's a wild world. We're all hypocrites, but
tangent now. So right now, like obviously Ravi is a bit of a all-in type of player, and Dan is like hardcore macro. So I feel like that has a big difference as well in terms of like interpreting this situation. But I'm just gonna continue the story of what happened after that game. So we've got our European Dirk chat, and I pulled a replay to our, and then I'm like, then Snoot responds, like it's probably Hearthstone. I'm like, are you sure though? And then guess who comments? It was Risky. He was like, there's no way it's Kevin. There's no way it's Kevin. He would never dance on anyone. And then later on, half a year later, he's like tweeting dance on Kevin. So yeah, you have to choose a side here. But and to also go back on two topics, it was Blizzard engineering it, making it more difficult, making it more difficult to be mean to each other and making it easier to be nice to each other. Like for example, the Overwatch thing with the, what is it? You get to endorse players after the games. Like Katz was asking me on Twitter, like, should I be emailing Blizzard about removing dances or something like that? I mean, I think in StarCraft, because it's such a complex game, even if we remove dances, you can still like manner building and stuff like that. It's the same. So it wouldn't really matter. So yeah, I was just answering Katz's tweet. And then the second thing about Dan mentioned something about the egos. I think in general in gaming, not just in StarCraft, but I guess all competitive games, we suffer from fragile egos, and to some extent it's like combined with fragile masculinity. You got these nerds playing games all day, and it becomes part of your identity, and then because you put so much work and effort and energy and everything into it, and then you lose, and you feel terrible. And I guess then we have to think about, okay, if we acknowledge this to be a problem, you got Blizzard from high up there trying to solve it with like this just like disabling communications altogether, and that's one way. But then I guess here we can communicate to the community, but then it also just like from an individual perspective, you have to just acknowledge it and try to change. Yeah.
You know, I love what you said there. Definitely agree, and it's very interesting too, right? Because it's like, yeah, a lot of people that have played and have strong opinions about this, you know, have put so much time into, you know, trying to be good, and it does become a part of your identity, even though it probably should not. You shouldn't be valuing yourself as a human based on how good you are at a game, but many times we do. I certainly have done that a lot through my life. And then it's very interesting to hear about Cyril's point of view here, and how like his father has taught him to respect his opponent and not try to belittle him and things like that. And those are like the quality things. And then Cyril just types GG and it's like, it's all over, right? He doesn't dance on anyone. He's not just blowing up his banelings in the middle of the map or anything like that. Yeah. Well, so I think that a big lesson we can drive forward, guys, is all these people watching this right now, when you become parents, teach your kids like that.
Dude. Mm-hmm. It's also reflective in Cyril's WCS. Like we've heard about 300,000 interviews from him because he keeps winning. But one of the common questions is, your next opponent is such and such. How do you feel about him? And a lot of times players receive that as like, they're really good, but I think I've got it or whatever. There's no wrong answer, but I love Cyril every time. He's just like, it's kind of boring, but it's the right mentality. He's like, they're a tough opponent. I'm going to give my best shot. And people are like, lol, you're the god of this game right now, but he doesn't approach it that way. And I know this is a little bit off topic, but I do like that we're hearing that his father raised him with gaming mentality, but also teaching him the etiquette of gaming in StarCraft specifically. And you can see that reflected in our current champion. That's pretty damn awesome. I would just say this has been awesome, a great conversation. Do you guys have any final thoughts you want to add to that? And of course, this will be lived on. A lot of people will talk about this. I would have liked to have gotten some more controversial. I appreciate Ravi trying to represent the BMers. I tried to get Uriski. I tried to get Harstem. I even tried to get Kevin on there, but they're all European. The NA BMers aren't as interesting because they're kind of nasty. I can't have, he who should not be named on here and be like, what do you think about BMing? And he's like, well, everyone's a fucking idiot. And you're like, well, there doesn't seem to be a conversation here, but because it is funny, there is an etiquette. There's actually like acceptable BM and not acceptable BM, and that the line of which is controversial. People have different opinions. Anyways, do you guys have any final thoughts on the subject?
Actually, you just hit upon the major one, which is like there's acceptable BM, and also I think it depends on your relationship with that person. For example, I could easily, actually, if you watch like True or Puck or something, whenever they ladder and hit each other, they're actually constantly just like chatting or doing like some semi-BM things to each other. But it's like, because they know each other, it's all actually just like really funny for them. They're actually just having a good time. It's like, it's like when you're playing Super Smash Bros. Or something with your friend and they're sitting next to you and you guys are doing like friendly trash talk to each other. You don't actually mean anything negative by it. But if a total random stranger does it or says the same thing, it's like obviously a lot worse. So I think context.
It's also, and Jeff told this story before a long time ago on one of those things we did together, but like once you have played someone and let your thoughts known, like for instance, once Jeff, I think you offensive GG'd me or something. Yep. And I actually literally had a private chat with you because I was so upset. And Jeff never did it again. He's beaten me plenty of times since then. And I would imagine, ZhuGeLiang, that since this whole dance thing happened, you've probably played Harstem since then. Has he danced on you again?
I mean, usually the games don't become like that because sometimes, I mean, this is a special situation, right? Because, I mean, my tech is still going, but usually you both have our armies in the middle of the map and then you lose your army. This happens
what
so rarely.
Is saying is that he just doesn't stay in games anymore because he realizes he was wrong.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, I think that's going to bring us to a conclusion. It's really, really late over there in Finland, but I do want to thank you so much.
I actually woke up early in the morning.
You woke up early in the morning?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
what time is it in the morning there?
It's like 5. I'm trying to switch my sleep schedule. Like, Cyril's big brother always wakes up at 6 a.m.
Oh, wow. You live with Cyril?
Well, no, I mean, I've lived in, I went to their house and they've been in my house. Like, we've had like LAN parties or gatherings.
Oh, okay.
Very personal friends with his dad.
Yes.
Which, by the way, the unintended effect of this whole thing is Cyril did say he'll do an interview with me, and now I'm like more tickled than ever before about getting that done because he sounds so fucking fascinating. I hope he wins BlizzCon. Anyways, thank you for coming on. Or did you want to stay? I didn't.
I don't know what the topics coming up are.
You know what? You're so damn interesting. I'm just going to go ahead and be the alpha male here and be like, no, you're staying. If you don't say no there, you're on. So
you don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
What are you going to do at 5 a.m. in Finland?
You're free whenever, but we're going to talk for about another hour probably about some of these subjects. So if you don't want to stay, that's okay.
I can stay. It's fine.
There it is. What a guy.
Right.
What a guy. I love this guy. All right, so the next topic is the GSL Super Tournament, I believe. I think we went a little bit out of order here, but the first one's the Super Tournament. It just concluded. If you're listening and you're like, oh my God, spoilers, now's your time to look away. Dan, you obviously cast it, so I don't want to start there. I do want to start with Ravi. I want to start with ZhuGeLiang. Did you guys watch this? What do you think of the results?
I'm still catching up on some of it, so please.
Oh my God.
No, I've been watching bits and pieces of it so far, but it's been really good games, and the whole finals being Protoss players. Holy shit!
Yeah,
it's like a dream come true for me.
I literally did it again, you guys. I was watching Dark versus Classic, and the first two games were such shitty raffle stomps of Dark over Creator that I was like, or Classic, excuse me. Wait, was it Classic? That was Creator. What are we looking at?
No. Okay, so. You're talking about the reverse sweeps, right? You were one of the guys who went to bed during a reverse sweep.
Nope, Creator versus
Last
Classic.
day was all reverse sweeps.
Yeah, my bad. Anyways, it was all reverse sweeps. So like for both those matches, are really late at night for me. I was like, all right, I'm tuning out, and then the other guy won. I woke up to that and I was like, what the shit? It's crazy.
Can we also talk about Maru losing? Holy shit!
Now the weird thing about this tournament is it's just before BlizzCon. I'm gonna do that thing. How much of this, for the guys that are already going to BlizzCon, is them not wanting to show something off? Or did they give everything they had because the money's good and it matters?
I think that Maru put in his effort for this. I think, okay, I actually thought SOS was going to win just based on his play against Keen. I could tell that he really knew what to do against proxy-type play. When he stole Keen's gas immediately in the proxy game, I was like, oh, SOS is going to beat Maru. It just, he lives in the house with him. So I think he has a really good roadmap to that. So I wasn't surprised, actually, when he beat Maru.
I felt bad about the Solar Series. Go ahead, ZhuGeLiang. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to bring up, Uthermal's comment on Terrans having a hard time if they don't have enough time to prepare. And you can see this time and time again that Maru doesn't do that well when the tournament is like a weekend tournament where you just have to play game after game after game. Maru put all of his preparation against Rogue, and it was a really impressive series. And then he just I've only less than a day to prepare for the next match, and then that happened.
Interesting.
Why does Uthermal say that?
Well, I think, from TVZ perspective, if you're preparing for a match, obviously Terran has a lot of advantages because they can just play really abusive, economic greed and proxy rexes. You can just mix it up really well. But then after some point, if it's a weekend tournament, you just kind of run out of tricks. But in this case, it was a different matchup, so can't really use that argument. But
interesting thing to explore, though, because I had not heard that, but it kind of has my ears.
It's kind of an interesting idea, yeah.
Solar SOS series really disappointed me. It was Solar looks so good and strong the first two games, and I'm really high up on him. I think he's one of the best personalities in the Korean scene for sure. B, I think his talent's phenomenal, but it kind of felt a little bit like what you were talking about. Obviously, I don't want to make this too big of a point, but it felt like he had some idea of how he wanted to win, and then after those ideas came out, he didn't have much after that. Like the next three games by SOS, I felt like were pretty one-sided for SOS, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were. I thought that the last day of Super Tournament was just insane. 3 reverse sweeps. Reverse sweeps are just so rare in general. But especially that finals one, felt like SOS got a bug into his brain or something. He's just like, I'm going to go blink every game. Hey, guys. I don't like Immortals. Hey, guys.
I actually have a really good story about reverse sweeps. So this was back in Heart of the Swarm. I think, was this the first final Soul Key Innovation? was graduation day in my high school, so I was watching it on my phone, like iPhone 5 back then, 4G
Oh,
or
wow.
something like that. And then at some point, like I think Innovation was leading 2-0, but then we had to go to like an auditorium, and I couldn't really do it because it was like a very official thing with the principal and all that. And basically, I missed out on the final, 5 or 4 games. Then I go back to then after the thing, I open up my phone, go to the results thread, I click open, and first, like when you click the first result thing open on the Team Liquid thread, it was Innovation 3-0, but then there was another thing nested under it. I clicked that, but then Sulky 4-3, and I was the biggest Innovation fan back then, and my heart was crushed. I actually made the Innovation fan club in Team Liquid. So.
Oh, wow. That's pretty funny. We have the Twitter quote.
That was the big reverse sweep that we've had in StarCraft 2, right? I can't remember a different best of 7 reverse sweep ever happening.
I want to say Neeb versus... God... And this is so sad, I'm blanking on the name of the Zerg. Remember that game?
It's Hydra not, or something?
Yeah, it was Hydra, but it's not. Okay. It wasn't a best of 7. It was only a best of 3, or maybe it was Mana. Anyways, remember the
best of 3? Reverse sweep doesn't count.
You're not letting me finish. He won a game without a Nexus. Is the part that was amazing to win that final game of the. Anyways, we have the Euthermal quote here. If you want to show it there, Matt. Because he actually talks about WCS with this, which is interesting. But I'll read it out for the people that are in the podcast. Something that people don't really talk about when it comes to WCS Zerg dominance, but I feel strongly about, is that our format is really Zerg favored. If the formats were switched, non-Zergs would do better in WCS, and Zergs would do better in Korea. I feel like preparation formats are much better for Terran, especially, and open formats favor Zerg a lot. If we had preparation format, I think we might have had some more foreign Terran champions over the years. Worth thinking about, in my opinion. And then he goes on to say, looking at this year's premier tournaments, all preparation format tournaments GSL had a Terran in the finals. And every open format tournament, with one exception, WESG, was a ZVZ or a PVZ finals. Not even Maro made it to the finals of those in this year.
Well, that's actually, now that this has been worded fully, that makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Like, reactive macro play is the strongest thing you can do as Zerg. Like, whenever I'm casting a Zerg player doing something, I'm always watching what the Terran or the Protoss is going to do, not what the Zerg is going to do, because it's pretty straightforward what the Zerg is going to do. They're going to try to not lose drones, right? And I mean, there's obviously, it's not that simple, but that does make a lot of sense. It's just like the way that Zerg is played is good for that stuff. Huh. Wait, ZhuGeLiang, would you agree with this assessment?
Well, I think I absolutely agree. But then it also depends on if the Zerg does a lot of homework. Like, if the Zerg doesn't do that much homework, then you're pretty screwed in a preparation format. So I think it still favors the Terran, even if the Zerg does a lot of homework. But yeah, it's just too bad for these foreign Terrans over the years.
I think it's interesting though, right? Because Euthermal in the tweet is specifically referencing Maru's performance, so it's actually, I think it's like about, it'd be in relation to like Maru versus SOS, right? So it's not versus Zerg, it's versus Protoss, right? I think he's directly referencing Maru.
He just said finals. He literally said there's no Terran in a prepared finals tournament. Finals.
Oh.
And he cites Maru, but he says no Terran.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Which is a stronger point. The best player in the world, everyone argues, if it's not Cyril, then it's Maru. And if he's not in the finals of a weekend tournament, or open format as he puts it, that's amazing. That's a hell of a stat to put out there. Whoa! The unfortunate thing, by the way, which kind of, I guess, needs to be said, because for some people, and it looks like Euthermal, WCS could never be a prepared format. The budget for that kind of a thing, like it's in Korea because all those players are central to Korea. That makes sense. Getting them to travel into the city is not a big deal. Being like, hey, Roddy and Ravi, we're going to have you at the studio in Burbank for the next 3 weeks, or like 6 weeks, and we're going to fly in Europeans, South Americans, Chinese, Taiwanese, Brazilian. Like, you can't actually do that. It just would, like, if Mike Morheim retires from Blizzard and gives all of his money to WCS, we could do it for 2 years. He's got billions of fucking dollars, so it's just not happening is the problem. And if that's unfortunate for Terran players, which I'm not even disagreeing with Euthermal, I think that's a really astute observation. then that's too bad. Not going to change. Well, okay, that does it for the Super Tournament. So that was awesome. This meant that SOS and Classic got into BlizzCon. Is that correct?
Classic already was set, but this qualified. Basically, when he beat Solar, he won the spot. We had 5 players that could have been the 8th spot in Korea, and SOS. He secured it, knocking out Solar, who was going to have to win the tournament to make it in.
Okay, so it was just SOS then that qualified from this that hadn't already qualified, is I guess what I'm saying.
That's right. That's right. Classic actually got like 2nd in Korea or something, 2nd or 3rd overall in the standings. He finished. He just had a lot of solid performances here, but it's his first tournament win in years now. He's had some solid tournament wins overall in the past, but it's been a while.
And at PvP Finals, so roll on that post-BlizzCon patch, please. Let's get these Protoss players out of here. The next topic... What?
Can I just point out one last thing? Yeah, I'm not going to comment on what Cyril thinks about getting SOS, but I just want to point out that throughout the years we've had Velmo and Elfie doing all kinds of stuff to Cyril, so he should be pretty well prepared against anything SOS can cook up. I hope so.
I think it's a good matchup for him. We'll talk about that probably next week or something like that as we get closer to BlizzCon. Next topic is WCS balance patch additions. So there were some changes to this, and I don't know. I don't want to taint the analysis of this, but it is. You know what? I'll go ahead and taint it. I'm always down for a good tainting.
I know, I'm always saying that about you. Jeff, what do I think about Jeff in Control?
He likes a good taint.
He's always down for a good tainting, if you know what I mean.
He likes a good taint.
I don't know what you mean. Can you elaborate? No, I haven't.
Guys, every once in a while, a good taint. This was quick and a little bit funny for me. The changes are a mixed bag, as they always are, pretty good. I do have to give a special nod of laughter, though, to the Terrans getting completely ignored in this. They made the changes. They're we're really excited. You guys are gonna have a battle cruiser, and that's all we can think of. And then and everything after that, they're Terran's fine. The Hydralisk gets 5 health back because apparently the pro gamers bitched a lot. ZhuGeLiang, I'm looking at you.
I haven't played the new test patch at all.
Yeah,
but I think we're really...
I bet you none of the pros at Wine did either, but please go ahead.
Well, you do it. You've read this stuff, though, right? You've seen the changes?
Yeah, the biggest thing right now is the shield battery, because...
No, don't hate on Protoss. I want to talk about Zerg real quick, and then you can hate on Protoss. You're the pro gamer. What do you think about the Zerg changes post-BlizzCon?
Are reasonable. I mean, we're having... just because of Cyril's dominance, and Zerg is doing really well. A long time ago, Showtime once said that it's every playoff is round of 8 is 6 Zergs and 1 Protoss and 1 Terran, and Zergs are only gonna be happy until it's only 8 Zergs, something like that. And I'm yeah, I guess you're right. So, yeah, because I'm not playing that much anymore, so just from a spectator point of view, it's nicer if you have more race diversity. Maybe Zerg deserves a little bit of a nerf.
I think one of my favorite stories.
Areas, but I think maybe a buff in other areas, but that's a different topic.
Oh. I was going to tell a stupid story where I was going to say one of my favorite stories was talking to one of the Blizzard employees who were yeah, so Scarlet just played Shadowne. She got Cannon Rush 5 games in a row. She still beat him, and then immediately went to the balance meeting and just was Cannon Rushes are a problem. It's oh, okay. I thought that was funny.
Scarlet. Yeah. Dan, did you read through these? Any thoughts?
Yeah. Well, we did a little bit of a balanced preview show when the patch was first done, and definitely something that the guys were saying, what was it? It was Lambo and TLO. We're saying that the health nerf on the Hydralisk will really make them super glass cannon-y, and really it's their damage output that's the problem. And so I see that they changed it, the weapon speed.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think that everyone was kind of in agreement that Hydralisk maybe should have a little bit of a nerf, but maybe the health wasn't the right thing to nerf there. So I understand, and I'm not going to trick myself by pretending I know what 0.54 to 0.57 for weapon speed means. Because I look at it and I'm 0.03, that doesn't sound like a lot. This isn't right, but no. I know the way human brains work, and I know I'm just going to trick myself, and I don't understand what that means. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that's a reduction to DPS that's good.
I like to think of this as like I would love a BoJack Horseman cartoon about like the politics of StarCraft or something, specifically from the angle of like lobbying for balance changes, because the poor Terran players, I do feel like they complain more than anybody, but for whatever reason, they are completely disregarded almost every time. Like whatever a Terran player complains about, it takes months for Blizzard to be like, you know what? Maybe the Cyclone in TVT is a bit of a problem. And Terran's like, I've been saying that since February. And they're like, well, you've been saying a lot. Zerg players, whoever is their fucking lobbyist, it's like a week turnaround or less. There's been a couple of Protoss strategies where they win like hard or a map that's really good for them. Holy fucking shit, your head would just spin so fast at how quickly it changes. They're like, guys, the map pool, we changed it. We're so sorry about such and such map. I can't believe that Protoss achieved a 57% win percentage in the PvZ matchup. It's abhorrent. We'll never allow this again. I'm so sorry. And Zerg players are like, if it's not at 45 by Thursday, I'm going to fucking tweet 6 times today. It's going to happen. And it just fucking changes immediately. The cannon rush thing, they're like, Jesus Christ, has had one of the most exciting finals and exciting results in the history of WCS. Get it off my Earth! You know, they're like, God! And Zerg players like kind of sit back, and they're never happy. They're always just like, fuck yeah.
Can I just go to the actual problem of why the cannon rush is? I'm sure other Zergs have talked about this before in the show.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, do it.
I mean, there was a time back in the days, I think it was Heart of the Swarm, where you just, even 15 hatching, because back then it was 15 hatch. It was hard because the probe scout would come. And now with Legacy, you can, go 16 hatch and pretty much get the hatch every time. And if you want to risk it a bit, 17 hatch. But then the thing is, because if you hatch first and they cannon rush, theoretically the cannon rusher should always win if they played correctly. And then you have to go pull first. And when you're going pull first and Protoss plays standard and just pylon blocks you, you're really behind. So that's the fundamental problem. You gotta fix that dilemma somehow. So Zergs are forced to like switch between a really terrible economic opening just to be safe, just to survive against cannon rush. I mean, Cyril played that a few times because he felt like he's that much better in it. But for rest of us, we aren't that much better than the average Protoss Joe on ladder, so we feel violated.
Yeah, and that European ladder has just been poor Zerg players just can barely get any wins there. They've just been.
Clearly.
To finish out, though, by the way, to my lobbyist story. So the Protoss lobbyists, you're asking yourself, what are the Protoss lobbyists? Well, we had a golden era of like Huck, Naniwa, Sase, MC in the Korean scene. They really bitched. They're good. They got some results. We had some Protoss wins back then. Since then, Protoss lobbyists is like when the Amish come into town to sell their fucking like their grass or like their dolls that they've been building for months. And they kind of like roll in and they're like, if it would please you, we'd like to kind of offer you up a little bit of a discussion around the Hydralisk. We think it would be reasonable to take its health from 90 to 85 if it pleases you, good sir. And Blizzard's like, you know what? I don't think that has any impact at all. Let's go ahead and change it. And then the Zerg players are like, they want to do what? 5 health? How about 0.03 off their speed? And everyone's like, 0.03? What do you measure that in? And they're like, Blizzard milliseconds. It's 0.03 of them. And they're like, can the human brain comprehend that time and space? And they're like, no! Give it to him. Give him back the 5 health. And then the Protoss lobbyist is like, well, sir, I felt pretty strong. And they're like, I need you off my property, okay? You weird Amish lobbyist person, get the fuck off my property. And he's like, if it pleases you, we'll be back in the winter season of 2019. And then they like shamble off. And that's the Protoss lobbyist. Absolutely non-existent. Think about what Protoss player bitches a whole bunch. You'd say Showtime and Harsum. Where do they bitch? Privately on Discord between each other.
Yeah, no, it's very true that Protoss players don't whine as much. But I think that the big problem is that Terran and Zerg players work together against Protoss. It's 2/3 of the players of this game are agreeing that Protoss is overpowered, and I just keep watching. I've been watching this for years. Everything Protoss has get flimsier and flimsier and flimsy. The shit you have to pull off to win as a Protoss player, you see how many different builds SOS and Classic have to use to beat a Zerg player? Oh my god.
We're the fucking... The bravest people out there in the world is the guy that starts off with 12 probes and looks at each game and says, I believe these 12 probes can lead me to victory. Only to have that. Look at some of these numbers, by the way. So, the Void Ray, okay, the fucking Void Ray gets revisited. Prismatic alignment speed reduction decreased from 40% to 25%. I want you to wrap your head around what you just heard. So earlier we heard 0.03 of a second, I guess, or a DPS. I don't know what it was. It doesn't matter because it was literally a mosquito farts in Africa, and it has the same impact on your perception as that fucking change to the Hydralisk. The Void Ray, they're like, yeah, it's from 40% to 25%. They're like, what does that do in real time? They're like, you cast off your big prismatic alignment, okay? And then when you realize you made fucking Void Rays and they're starting to kill you, you can fucking get out of there a little bit. You're like, well, can't you just cancel it, I guess, and move away? They're like, cancel it? You're already dead. What are you fucking canceling? And you're like, what am I chasing? With 15 extra %. What is this running down?
I can explain this.
Please do.
So, I mean, I think the Void Ray right now doesn't really have much purpose except in a Sky Plus army composition. So, like, if you're going for a ground army, you're not going to want to make Void Rays to complement your ground army. But then the thing is, if you camp Golden Armada with carriers, Tempests, whatever, and Mothership, and then the thing is, you counter that with Corruptors, right? I don't understand PvP, but this is the...
Well, in the post-BlizzCon world, you're not making carriers anymore, but go ahead.
Okay, so you're countering that with Corruptors, but then if the Void Ray is too powerful, you can't even go in. You go in and the Void Rays turn on the whatever zapping thing, and you lose all your Corruptors instantly, combined with Storm and all of that. So that's the big problem. So you really...
This is a
big problem?
By the way, you guys, just so you know. This is a buff. They reduced like they basically made siege mode for Void Rays now, but now it moves a little bit quicker than it did before.
15%.
So I think it's
faster.
because the Void Ray almost went extinct. It's like you see some proxy Void Ray all-ins, and other than that, you don't see it anymore.
Listen,
Is there anything that a Void Ray actually catches now?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, thank you, Ravi. ZhuGeLiang, you're incredibly intelligent, and you're going at this in a rational place, and I appreciate that. That's amazing. But you're,
We also lost the Mutas. Like, the Mutas have gone extinct. And that's much more iconic, from Brood War until now. Like,
Mutas have gone extinct, he says. Okay.
Yeah. Except
Mutas are back a little bit.
They're in the ZVZ matchup. 1 in 30 games are in a ZVZ. Okay, hang on. ZVT, nobody makes them. CVP, Zerg versus Protoss, a Zerg gets that bug in their butt where they're like, you know what? Fucking Mutas. And then 5 Phoenix show up and they're like, God damn it!
These things that we're discussing today are the changes to the patch that they already announced, which actually is
new changes,
taking away things that hurt Mutas. So we're going to see a lot more Mutas in CVT for sure after BlizzCon.
New changes. No, but listen, this is Ravi from the mouth of a babe, and here's a throwback for you guys. Holy fuck. By the way, that's one of our guests at BlizzCon. We're going to have Husky on there.
God.
No, we're not.
Heard Hugo Snyder?
No. God. Okay, look at this. Matt, by the way, this is brilliant. Now that we're showing Husky, our viewership for this episode is going to be through the roof. So many guys right now.
He's going to actually request that you take down the video now.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
Shit, you're right.
Nice shot,
Can't
Matt.
show too much of that.
Gotta cover that up with a black box.
He's like, coming soon, new StarCraft 2 content. He's like, just kidding, I'm taking more down. Anyways, no, Ravi said this, and it's such a hilarious point, and maybe there is an answer to this. I just can't conceive of it. With 15 extra % speed, what are you running down with prismatic alignment? What are you running down?
I think it's more about running away.
No, because you cancel it.
When you turn it on, they run away out of range and then shoot you or something. So, I don't know.
Nobody can answer this.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Anyways, the changes are great. I feel really good about this, and everyone's really excited. So hopefully you guys are super on board. ZhuGeLiang, I interrupted you, though. You were talking about the shield battery one earlier. What were your thoughts on that?
Obviously, it's a good change.
Yeah, you're a piece
I
of
think
shit.
the big problem is still that Ravi or someone talked about it, should we just have it so that the shield battery can only be built near nexuses, but they would be stronger, and it's just the difference.
Oh, don't take anything I tweet seriously. Okay. I was tweeting today that Broodlords should be able to move as fast as a Tempest, and that they should be able to move and shoot because carriers can move and shoot, and battlecruisers can move and shoot. And, like, don't listen to anything I tweet.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, Protoss does suffer from time to time the multitasking. Like right now, the meta is you have to just defend perfectly, and then you have a pretty good chance. And then if you fail one time, and then Zerg or Terran will just run over. So making it a worse defensive building is it's not going to help Protoss, except it's going to hurt the cannon rushers a little bit. So maybe the question is, do we just take all the cannon rushers out completely? Because remember back in the old days, we didn't have shield battery and we had overlord drop. So when the cannon rush would come, you could Maynard your workers or limbs outside with the overlord drop. You could drop it to your opponent's base and all that. But now we don't have that. Plus, there's this shield battery building. So all of that on top.
I'm gonna just come out and say I don't think it's a problem. I lost to this shit today, by the way, because it is frustrating as all get out to lose to. I know that, but it's also not something that's tormenting the lower level players. Like that has always been one of the scapegoats. It's like, guys, as top tier players, maybe that's not a problem for you, but at Gold League, it's just terrible. No, it's not. It is not happening down there. The shit that's happening down there is so different and terrible that we need our own episode and hazmat suits to even discuss it. But like, and Dan's the guy that gets to take ownership of this because he was the guy espousing this a whole bunch, but I'm just agreeing with the wisdom of Dan. Has had one of the most exciting runs of 2018. And guys, in case it's ambiguous for y'all, Haz is mostly as a top tier player, he's pretty shit. He's a really bad player, but he was able to take a style and have a dream run, and it was one of the best storylines of 2018 for me. This guy's at BlizzCon. He's getting $10,000, and he's probably not going to win a single map. That's fucking incredible.
Jeff, I give him 40% to get out of his group.
That was actually so excellently worded because you didn't predict him, so you didn't curse him, but you did give him a chance that is slightly higher than what you think.
Anyways,
well
I think it's really exciting.
Well, Jeff's giving him a Hydralisk buff of a 0.03 to get out, I guess. So.
Oh, well, as soon as I know what we're measuring at 0.03, I'll be throwing it around. Oh, God. Can you imagine, by the way, that's someone like, Jeff, we're really excited. You've been putting in a lot of work. We're going to give you a raise. And I'm like, really? That's amazing. I already make $17 an hour. What are you talking about right now? They're like, we're talking about raising your rate from $17 to $17 in less than a penny, which doesn't sound like much, but after a couple of years with some interest, that
compound interest and live to be 1,000.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's gonna be so much. Oh.
Dozens of dollars are coming your way, buddy. You just hang in there. Anyways, I think it's exciting. It's fun, but also I do want to put out there a word of caution. Pro gamers are always going to advocate for the most boring form of StarCraft you've ever seen in your entire life, whether they admit it or not. They want the game to be so terrible. It's really important that you listen to pro gamers and at the exact same time disregard everything they say. So you have to listen to everything and take it as absolute bullshit. And then somewhere in the middle is the truth. And that sounds like Jeff being Jeff, but it's actually, I was a pro gamer, you guys. Not a very good one, but I was, and I know the bullshit. I was in it.
You were good.
I rolled in it. Well, thank you, Dan. Other changes, we'll just go through real quick because we've spent a lot of time. It's been really fun. War President from 6 to 5. Go ahead, Robbie.
I think vaguely a roach off of creep with speed is the new speed of the Void Ray. I have been sitting here for the past 6 minutes trying to calculate this.
Wow. So prismatic alignment may be able to run down a roach off creep?
No, run away from a roach.
Why are you running off? Anyway.
You might need to. You never know. Starcraft's a very dynamic game.
Hey, we've noticed that roaches can't shoot up, and we just think the anti-air options for Zergs were rather bland, so we gave roaches the ability to shoot up. Anyways, they did with the Ravager. The War Prism thing, I'm okay with it. It is a fairly big nerf, and War Prism's really exciting and fun play. But I guess I kind of also don't like it at the same time. As I say it, like, so the most exciting and fun micro in the game is Warp Prism Micro, and I don't see it dominating top tier, and I don't see it creating scenarios where people are like really having a bad time. So it was a little bit weird, but at the end of the day, what it means is a few extra queen hits and a few extra marine hits, and I'm okay with that, because like, at the same time, if a guy is just like, oh, you had a Warp Prism and 2 Immortals or something, and I can't deal with that, I guess I'm dead. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, I'm okay with... I always thought that 6 pickup range was pretty insane on Warp Prisms, but it goes back to this thing that I was mentioning where I've just watched Protoss get nerfed slightly every time, always, forever. So it's like, well, we're gonna nerf the shield battery. Well, by the way, we're nerfing carriers, so your late game comps are all different now. We're going to nerf the shield batteries. Some of these rushes are too strong.
Yeah.
Oh, but do you know that build that you do when you want to play a real macro game? The Archon drop that normally only gets like 3 drones and kills 2 roaches before you have to run?
Yeah.
And if you lose the Prism, the game is over? We're going to nerf that too.
You know what though, Dan?
So, excuse me, what should I do now? They're like, well, you could do the Adeptons. I'm like, oh, you nerfed those a while back though, too. I can't really see what they're shading into anymore. Like, oh...
My favorite, though, is the selling of the Tempest, where they're like, it's kind of like that inappropriate uncle comment at the dinner table, like a family gathering, where they're like, because the Tempest got a buff, right? Like, it's more maneuverable, it's got faster speed, but then they have everything else, where now it's like an actual chandelier flying above the battlefield, but it's like, that kind of like back and forth to me is the like, would you check out the ass on that one? And you're like, oh, I feel dirty, and that's not appropriate, and that's kind of gross. Like, it's a compliment, and you're like, am I supposed to feel good about it? And they're like, I don't know, quit being a dick. And you're like, it's the Tempest. Literally, it got exciting and more microable, but they're like, well, if we start giving the Protoss just straight buffs, they'll expect more. So let's go ahead and cut its health in half as well.
But the Ruddy build might be back.
Maybe, that's true.
Yeah. You didn't know this was going to be a Protoss pitch fest, did you, Zoo?
We gave you the out.
I realized you're all Protoss.
Yeah, it happened, didn't it? You're like, holy shit, wait a second.
I never hear the word probe in my thoughts.
Yeah. Well, we're being mostly silly. These are fine, and a lot of it is well-intentioned. We'll see what the game looks like after BlizzCon. It does put a lot of pro gamers in a weird spot. I said this last year, too, on a different show, I think, even, but this is a weird time, right? Like, if you're not going to BlizzCon, you should be playing the test map, but even playing the test map's kind of weird because there are other tournaments being played before that, but you already know the game's going to dramatically change, so the excitement and interest of playing current meta is kind of weird. So this is that kind of time where I'm like, let's get BlizzCon, let's get into it because BlizzCon's amazing, but let's also get after BlizzCon, because it's weird to be like, hey guys, your Starcraft that you're looking at right now is going to be very different in a month and a half. Kind of weird.
It is. This time of year always is.
Yeah.
Like, but after BlizzCon, it just is hype as hell.
And it's also necessary, though. Like, it shouldn't be the same meta for 3 years. That would be really lame and boring.
What kind of sucks, though, is that StarCraft doesn't have an off-season. Like, WCS has an off-season. StarCraft doesn't have an off-season. So, like, all of the weird stuff that goes in, like, there are actually going to be a bunch of tournaments in November and December and January when stuff is still just kind of getting tested and stuff, and pro players start playing, where it's like, I think WSG and all these other things are actually still going to be going on. So it is a little weird.
A little weird. We're going to go, as I always say, we need to go quicker through these subjects. And I'm to blame, by the way. I'm not saying anybody else's. But we're going to fly through these other ones and then get into the Q&A real quick. KSL. Dan, how's that going?
KSL, well, we just had the qualifiers. There are a couple sad things to announce. Flash chose not to play. ZhuGeLiang chose not to play. And Effort chose not to play.
Why?
I did not hear why Effort and Flash did not play.
Wow.
I did not hear that as of yet, but I will update next week because I think I will know by then. With ZhuGeLiang, he wanted to focus solely on his ASL run right now. Where actually tonight he plays Flash. Oh my god. But as far as the qualifier went, it was pretty wild. It was very different from the last qualifier. We have some names popping up that we haven't seen in professional play in quite some time. Like Modesty made it through. Jaehoon, who hasn't been in a tournament since ASL like 1 or 2.
Jaehoon.
Yeah, he's back. He named himself Bermuda now. What a great move. Also, yeah. I don't know.
Reminds me of one of your previous rants where you used to talk about cranes kept renaming themselves, like destroying their own brand.
It's so bad. It's like Shuttle was trying so hard when Brood War came back to rename himself as Eyewater. He was trying so hard to do this that he had the producers tell us to call him Eyewater. And then what ID did he join the game as? Shuttle. Not happening, Shuttle. You're Shuttle forever. It's done. Anyways, God, I could really go on forever about it. It kills me that no one understands the most basics of marketing. You could rip any page out of a marketing book and do better than these pro gamers. But some big names did.
What is he joining the game as?
Oh yeah, no, it killed me, man.
Call me
Eyewater,
no,
you have
please.
to call him Eyewater. He wants to be known as Eyewater. I'm like, okay, we'll call him Eyewater. Shuttle joins the game. Yeah. Not doing this. Not playing these games.
It's so stupid. Sorry, go ahead.
I know. Okay, so for the actual qualifiers, we had some big names get eliminated, but also we had Larva make it this time, who missed last time. He was the first person to get through the qualifiers. That was really cool. Yes, that was great. But we had some really big guys get eliminated. Stork lost, so he's not in. Best lost. Snow lost, who's been on a hot streak lately. But other than that, we have like basically a bunch of really super top guys, and JYJ and Modesty kind of joined the crew with Jaehoon. So it's going to be good, and it starts not next week, but the week after that, Thursday and Friday. It'll be off for a couple weeks due to BlizzCon, but yeah, KSL coming right back.
Good brewer.
I also thought it was kind of cool and interesting that Wolf is back casting.
Yeah.
We had Super Tournament overlapping with the qualifiers, so Wolf filled in with Rapid for that ridiculous day where I watched them for 4 or 5 hours, and then I got on the train and went to work, got my makeup on, ate my dinner, casted Super Tournament finals, 3 reverse sweeps, a best of 5, a best of 5, a best of 7, got on the train, went home, still on. Watched it some more. That was a long day for them.
Brood War is the blue-collar person's tournament, or game, I would say. Rapid and Chapo. You guys are heroes. I watched some of that too, but it was one of those funny things where I was like, they had some disconnects, they had some pauses, and there's some kind of, it went on, it's not supposed to go that long, so I was kind of like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Great Brood War coming up. We also have the Afreeca Star League Season 6.
Yes! We're almost to the round of 8. We have done 3 of the 4 groups in round of 16, and tonight is the group that everyone's going to watch, including all of you watching here. Yeah. You're going to set your alarms, or you're just going to stay up. I don't know, but the greatest rivalry in esports takes place once again, literally tonight in 7 hours. Flash and Jadong will be playing each other. The tickets apparently sold out like instantaneously when we started selling them, so we're going to have the most packed studio ever.
Cool.
I mean, it's Flash versus Jadong. It's like, you want to do the Morpheus is fighting Neo meme, but this is so much more epic that when you watch Matrix, the subtitle should say, "Oh, everyone come! Flash is fighting Jadong." So yeah, that's where we're at.
So, do you have any history in Brood War? You excited about this stuff at all?
Well, I think I played Brood War in some Chinese summer camp once.
Oh, cool.
I was tearing back then. It was like for 1 week, and then I had an expensive gaming computer. I'm like, I'm not going to waste all my money playing this graphics.
Oh no!
Damn, dude. Right to the heart.
I was a Age of Empires 3 player before.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
Me too.
Okay.
Right.
And then our last subject, you said ASL?
Yeah, no, I just said, okay, ASL is all done.
Yeah, that's ASL.
Just keep going. We can maybe make it another 7 hours, and then we'll just be ready.
We're
just
hitting
host
our...
up
Yeah,
ASL.
I will have to leave in like 5 hours, so I'm just throwing that out there.
There's just enough time then for us to do the Discord Q&A. This is the last segment, and then we'll give our shout-outs. So there is... What?
We have one more thing.
What?
WCS Signature Series, Jeff.
Ah, okay.
The videos are all coming up. They put out a little bit of a teaser trailer thing. I believe one is going to be released each week.
Cool.
Right, leading up to BlizzCon from here.
Well,
the 4 players that are going to be featured are Maru, Rogue, Cyril, and Special. And
I can't wait for the special
Signature Series is always ridiculously good. It's made by Mark and Blizzard people, as well as the Game Changers guys who made that awesome documentary. So, yeah, it's going to be great.
I was there when they filmed it for Cyril, so.
Oh, cool.
Because the IM Pyeongchang one, what can I say? All I can say, I think the Signature Series will be much better, and we'll dive deeper and tell the real story behind the man.
Nice. Yeah, Mark.
Can't wait.
Mark, Mr.
so
DJ
bad for them,
Perplexer
by
is
the
saying it's the best they made. Go ahead, Ruby.
I felt so bad for them making the Signature Series because normally, like, I think that the Signature Series, they do it, they want to do it like a little bit in advance. But this year for WCS, because Cyril won every single stop and the points were so close, there was literally no one locked in except for Cyril and then eventually Special. So I can just imagine that they were literally sitting there being like, all right, now we have a month to film all of them right now. Let's go.
They chose Special before he was locked. I think they probably looked at the math on it and said, okay, well, he's always dominating his region, and he's one of the most steady players in WCS too. So I think it was a smart pick. He was also, I think he was ranked 2nd at the time when they picked him. So
Special.
Good contrast to Cyril storyline. So.
I'm excited. Cyril is. I am a gushing fanboy. He's got the competitor's mindset. He's really interesting. I've even heard stuff about his training regimen and how interesting that is. He's not from what and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you know him better than I do, obviously, but he's not like a 14-hour-a-day kind of guy. He gets his work done, but he trains very meticulously. Like, he watches a lot of replays, a lot of VODs, and then he practices with purpose. He doesn't just like ladder grind necessarily. He does ladder grind, of course, as well, but it's just he's such an interesting figure.
Where'd you hear about that? I'd love to. Was there like a video interview he did or a written one?
Just kind of at each WCS stop, Robbie, Todd, Kevin does a really good job of kind of going in and asking and talking to him directly and asking people.
Yeah. Cool.
I really just want this. All I want from that Signature Series is I just want footage, because the ESL one didn't have this. I want footage of Cyril just chopping wood, because if they do that, I can make a meme where I line up the faces of every single player he's beaten this entire year.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be like a 5-hour no music or whatever, like, whatever, 10-minute thing, where it's just him chopping the wood of the faces of every single person he beat. And it's just going to be totally like no audio.
I'd watch the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be like, oh, wow, that was a really good player. Oh.
Robbie just really wants Cyril shirtless, just handling wood. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You always not bring it back, Jeff.
Robbie, all the wood this year were already chopped. So.
Yeah. Just thick cords of wood, if you could, please. So that does bring us to the end of this show. This has been absolutely, well, I'm not going to sign out just yet because we have the Q&A part. So I do want to give another heads up to this, because it's kind of funny. The effect of this has been people are apologizing for long questions, and that's really nice because you guys are awesome, and I would expect no less. But what I'm really trying to get at is please stop asking long questions. So the apology actually only elongates the question even further. Because you guys got great questions and stuff like that. But when I read your personal story about it, it gets hard because almost what happens every time is the other 3 or 4 guests are like, what did they ask? What was the question? There's something about Doritos in there. Anyways, so we have about 2 weeks of questions, so I'm only going to ask the priority Patreon questions. And I think there was one, actually. I'll have to take the wheel here in a second. There might have been one I saw in the general one. Someone asked a really good question that I was a pretty big fan of. So if it doesn't get asked here, I'm going to look for it. Anyways, we'll get to this real quick. Broodweiser asks, whatever happened to MVP? An early Terran from GSL. He was one of my favorites. Thanks. Dan?
He had some wrist issues, which is part of the reason why he started going more towards mech instead of bio-based play, and eventually he just kind of decided to pack it up. He was declining in skill. More recently, he has been spotted occasionally streaming some Starcraft 2 at a pretty high level, but I don't believe that he has any intent to ever return to professional play, as far as I know.
There you go. Dumb in a Can asks, while you were asking about old players, what's going on with Nest T? Do you guys think anyone will ever excite Artosis the same way Nest T did? Is Artosis's wife glad that Nestea retired? Dan?
I just want to say I'm also a huge Nestea fan.
Yeah.
All of my friends in high school got really tired of my Nestea.
Well, my wife is sad that he retired because how could you ever be happy about that? It's very sad. I'm not really sure what he's up to. I mean, I know he's married nowadays, but I'm actually not sure what he's doing. Nothing within esports as far as I know.
Okay. Hyper Turtle. For the 20th anniversary events on Twitch, there was a big emphasis on showing off numerous ways to play StarCraft 2 and included players who hadn't been keeping up with the meta for years. But StarCraft Remastered seemed to be only promoted as something to be played 1v1 in reserve for the most competitive level of play and the most proven opens and army compositions. Is there room today to market the casual craziness of 1998, where you could join 8 clueless players in a free-for-all full of nukes, infested Terrans, and maxed out scout armies? I hear a lot of people say that Remastered can't be enjoyed casually, but as someone who has been enjoying it since release, I don't believe that to be true.
Yeah, I mean, Remastered, a lot of people play used map and comp stomps and stuff, and money maps. So I think there's a pretty good community for playing it pretty casually.
The person who got me into StarCraft has been playing StarCraft, at least that I know of, or Brood War, since 2004. And she still literally every single day just plays like 2-3 hours of 4v4s and FFAs. So it actually still totally there. She still sends me replays. It's like, look at this time that all of my teammates left and I 1v like 4 people.
It is possible. Just Falk asks, hey guys, love the show. I have frequently heard comparisons of the status of professional StarCraft players in Korea to rock stars here in the United States. If this is true, is there such a thing as StarCraft groupies? Are there a bunch of fangirls who follow professional StarCraft players around to the various tournaments in Korea? Is it easy for these guys to find girlfriends/wives?
Okay, so I don't know about the girlfriend/wife thing. I don't know if groupie is the right term, but yes, there are women fans of StarCraft players that show up for these players very often. Some players obviously have more fans than others, and yeah, I mean they definitely go to a lot of the events. There's some fans that are at like every event for a player, for instance, and then I will just end up recognizing these players, like, oh yeah, no, that's one of Flash's fans or something like that. Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, there are also groupies. There's just men and women throwing themselves at these rockstar StarCraft 2 players. If you believe otherwise, you're a fool. Cake Machine asks, do you think there is too much of a gap between the last big tournament and BlizzCon? Are we likely to see a small skill drop because of this gap? Guys, are players going to go into BlizzCon with a small skill drop?
No. You get, like, traveling to events and playing events actually, in some ways, in my opinion, drops your skill more than not, because you play less. If you're traveling and playing a tournament, when you travel to a tournament, that will be when you play the least StarCraft. Oftentimes. Like, normally at home, you'll actually practice more, so no.
ZhuGeLiang, I actually would love to hear your thoughts on this, because one thing that is somewhat related is that I know last year I would hear a lot of stories from players saying that they had a hard time finding practice partners, not specifically related to travel or tournaments and stuff, but they had a hard time finding practice partners because all of the other players just wanted to play as like BlizzCon got really close. They just wanted to play on the new test map, or they were just like, this is my break time before like I ramp up again.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, but I think it's a bigger issue for the foreigners, right? Especially, I guess, the European ones. I mean, I don't know if like some of these players are going to go to Korea before BlizzCon, but I think there's advantages and disadvantages. Like say if Cyril has been traveling around so much this year, like the trip to BlizzCon won't be as stressful compared to like Koreans probably haven't traveled that much. So like just the jet lag and all of that will probably affect them more. So advantages and disadvantages in different areas.
Okay, I like it. Hydro asks, StarCraft 2 was always considered more death-bally than Brood War, but in the recent year or two, splitting up your army for multi-prong attacks seems to be more common, viable, and superior for all races. Do you agree with this? And if so, do you think it has to do with patches, meta shifts, or has it simply taken that long for the skill level to reach such heights?
I would say totally that is true, that it is switched towards that, and I would say that was a game design thing brought on specifically by Blizzard, who reduced mineral and gas counts in all the bases, forcing more expanding, and also having a lot of very harassment-based units in the game, so that the most viable way to attack your opponent is to, in fact, attack the economy.
And also, I'd like to add, like, players who used to try to play like this or have like then emerged to be really good, and some players who used to be better at just sitting around, they kind of faded away.
Fair enough. Good idea. Cake Machine also asks, good idea or bad idea? The new balance patch looks like it's going to kill the carrier. So let's scrap it. Instead, we take the Colossus buff a step further. We get that bad boy doing 360 laser spins until it takes off, becoming a Colossicopter. So...
It's a great idea.
Not quite a question there, Cake Machine, but I love the way your brain works, my friend. Duck asks, I know Dan plays Terran and Jeff plays Zerg in Brood War, but both switched to Protoss in StarCraft 2. What were your reasons for switching? Also, ignoring gameplay, what race is your favorite conceptually? Design, culture, etc., and why?
Okay, I actually went to Zerg in Brood War, in StarCraft 2, because I like playing a mechanical game, and I like playing a reactive macro-based game. I eventually did switch over to Protoss for other reasons, but yeah, I try to keep the theme. Like, I tried StarCraft 2 Terran, it's just very different from StarCraft 1 Terran, so I didn't care for it.
And you like Terran design the best, you would say, overall?
Yeah, like the way that you're playing kind of defensively and working on upgrades and going for macro-based play and working on your own mechanics and stuff, that's the type of game I like to play. Okay. And it's reflected, like, even the way I play Protoss is like that.
I switched to Protoss in StarCraft 2 because I thought it would be more mechanically better for me. And then design-wise, I like Zerg. It's just my aesthetic. It's super awesome. I love it. Alessander, our very own, asks, what's one thing you would like people to know about you? Now, Ravi, I would go to you first, but I think you're going to need time to think about it. ZhuGeLiang has thought all things that are worth considering in this life and in the past, so I know that he's the best one to start with. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, I played the super long game against Lilekanin back in the WCS Challenger qualifier. And then there was some guy who, I think it's some guy named Christoph, and made this fan art. This day I still cherish that fan art, because I've won some trophies, but that's not a lot of players have won. Not one, but gotten like fan art dedicated to their wing.
Very cool. I like that. Ravi, are you ready?
Yeah, I have a good story.
Okay.
So one thing I always hope, and this is, it's not so much that I want them to know it's specifically about me, but just know that it's happened. So you can't do worse than this. So when I was in 2011, I went to MLG Anaheim, and I was just like a total fanboy. So like, didn't actually do anything really in the scene. I was like starting to get into casting and stuff. And in 2011, it was mostly online tournaments in the foreign scene. There wasn't a lot of offline tournaments. So I didn't know people's faces, but I was attending the event with someone that did know people's faces. So he was just like pointing out pro players, and I was like, oh yeah, and go up to them, get their signature, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, cool. I like recognize all these names, but I don't know their faces. One of the people that they point out was actually Vibe. So he points out Vibe, and I like go up to him, and I'm like, hey, dude, Vibe, it's not Vibe, Chef. Points out Chef, and it was like, oh, like, Chef, really big fan, like, you're like super duper cool, I watched a bunch of your stuff, can I get your autograph? He was like, oh, I'm not Chef, I'm Vibe, and I'm like, oh god, all right, well, you're on my list too, because to me, I had like a list of pro players, but that comes out really weirdly that I say that they're on a list. So he's like, okay. So he was standing there talking to his friend. So I felt so awkward about it that I then immediately turned to his friend. I'm like, can I get your signature too? And he's like, I just go to high school with him. I don't even play StarCraft. And I'm like, oh, okay. Turns out I actually like walked right past him and stuff. But, yeah. So no matter what, your fan interaction with whoever you talk to at these eSport events will never be worse than that. So just, be willing to go talk to people.
I like it. Dan, what about you?
Okay, to kind of stay on that, something for people to know, having to do with fan interactions. I've noticed a thing that happens, like, whenever people are talking to me. First off, if you see me at like BlizzCon or something, come up and say hi. I'm a nice guy, actually, and I appreciate y'all. We all love the same game. But basically, every human, while I was back in New Hampshire, was like, "Oh yeah, no, I love StarCraft. I'm not good at it." And everyone always has this thing where they're like, "I'm not good at it," and I have to like assure them, I'm like, "I don't care how good you are at StarCraft. Okay, this has nothing to do with how our interaction's going to go. You could be Cyril or you could be Bronze. It doesn't matter. You don't even have to play. All of us are bad at StarCraft." Okay, I've been trying my hardest for 20 years, and I still get on and grind every day, but I'm bad too. Okay, so don't worry about it. You don't have to preface anything with the fact that you're bad at StarCraft. It goes without saying, and it's not an issue. So yeah,
I like that. Mine is a story that I'll probably end up telling on the Pylon show at BlizzCon, but it's just really funny. The culmination of our show being on the stage at BlizzCon, but also us being commentators for it very often, is really funny for me, because in the early years of BlizzCon, Dan and Tasis were still always brought out to commentate the English stream for them, basically, for Brood War, which, there was no StarCraft 2 back then. And these guys were like, leaders of the nerd pack for us. So what we did is they would give these guys their badges, and they would give them a hotel room, and like 6 of us nerds, myself included, would sleep on their floor and attend BlizzCon by them handing us a badge and us like handing it to each other as we allow ourselves in, because we were all too broke. We didn't have money. None of us, we were all college students or high school kids. We didn't have the $85 to get in. We didn't have the money for a hotel. It was all very silly for us, but we slept on floors and we snuck in because we wanted to be at the mecca of StarCraft, and we wanted to experience that amazing once-a-year event. And now, years later, they are paying for us, getting us a hotel room, and putting our show on their stage. And it's just I want those riffraffs out there, those street rats, okay, to know that if you work hard enough and you sleep with a princess, sometimes you can become the king. So, thank you guys. You have to laugh at that. Otherwise, it's just too awkward. This is maybe this is the good one. Anyways, shorter question this time. What do you think about adding another race theme? Nope. Would that make it insanely difficult to balance all 6 non-mirror matchups, or is there a chance that it would benefit the game if done correctly? What kind of race would you like to see, and how would it be different from the others? Guys, if they added a new race, is there a chance it would be good for the game?
No, they did this already. It's called Warcraft 3, and you can go and look at the funny things that happens with their balance over there. Don't want any part of it. StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2 are perfect. Leave them alone.
Warcraft 3 was so ridiculous, they added 2 races.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a different approach. I actually agree with Max. If they added in the panda bears, but like space pandas, into StarCraft, I think that would be phenomenal for the game. I just want bow staffs and pandas. Bilbo asks, who would win in a kissing contest, a Velo or TLO?
TLO? Why is that a question?
Pretty quick answer.
His beard is tickly, though, right? His mustache?
He's German, though. He'll go about, he'll put in the work, basically. He'll make it work.
He's just a very caring person. Like, he puts a lot of care and attention in everything he does.
Soft hands, too. Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. Who would be the relative best StarCraft player when covered in bees? Not just Flash, because he's the best already, but who would have their play least impacted and be the best compared to their normal play style? Similarly, if this were a professional casted game, who would be the best casters when covered in bees?
I think Todd would be really good covered in bees as a caster. It just came right to me.
That's actually the answer, but I'd like to field second best answers.
No, trick question. Livy B, because she would maintain her composure for branding purposes.
Oh, okay.
She's Queen of the Hive. They won't even attack.
Yep. She'd also be kind of covered in herself, which is a image, I suppose.
And there couldn't be that many bees covering her because she's not that large of a person.
I'm not sure how that has
quite a lot, right? But
like, there's less surface area to get stung.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're in trouble here, so we're going to just back out of that question. Thank you, Mark. And commentators, I like Todd's a good answer. I think another one would be like a mole trap. He kind of commentated at that decibel anyway, so. Anyways, thank you, Mark-Ann. Washburn asks, what changed in recent months to make the proxy barracks rush so successful? Bigger 2-player maps, Zerg build orders. It seems like they used to be a much riskier strategy. ZhuGeLiang, do you agree with that?
It's always been really strong. I mean, I guess it's just that they figured out the 2 racks transition. Because if you go 3 or 4 racks and Zerg scouts it, then you can go roaches and sack your natural. But sometimes, if they place all the barracks randomly and you can't, like sometimes you see a few barracks and then you don't have a high ground spot for your overlord, and you want to put it to a high ground and you don't know if it's 2 or 4 racks, and then it's really iffy on what you should, like decision making. But
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's your answer from the pro gamer himself. Gunnar asked a question. He makes the apology for how long it is. Gunnar, you know I love you, but in the future. Anyways, guys, here we go. Not so much of a question, but I wanted to know your thoughts on having a pylon awards show after the WCS regular season ends after the second Super Tournament. The awards would be like those in major sports leagues handed out after the completion of their regular seasons. Maybe even have commentators, content creators, and fans submit voting ballots for each award. Since you are more versed in history of the game, maybe you could rename them, since the ones I'm going to give them won't be as good as what you guys come up with. Example of awards: the Sarah Kerrigan Most Valuable Player Award, awarded to the player judged most valuable to the Starcraft 2 professional environment during the year, particularly with their accomplishments throughout the year and the excitement they have generated with the fans and prominent members of the scene. I like the adding of with prominent members of the scene, because that makes me feel like it's like a pageant. It's like, what did the cool people think about that guy? I like that. The Abathur Rookie of the Year Award, awarded to the player selected as the most proficient in his/her first year of competition in the World Championship Series. The Phoenix Comeback Player of the Year Award, awarded to the player who is judged to have re-emerged after being away or have some results in the prior years of the World Championship Series. The Alexei Stukov Underrated Player of the Year Award, awarded to the player who, despite not placing in the top 4 of a World Championship Series event, are judged to have consistent high level of play throughout the WCS year. Thank you for all your content. Love the show. Gunnar, that question was about... It's too long.
But, I mean, okay, so he wants to know if there should be like an award show within
like there to be an award show.
I think it's kind of a cool idea. And doesn't Blizzard do a little bit of that? Like, don't people get awards for like, oh, you were the biggest StarCraft streamer this year or something like that?
They do that, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a little something like that. And, I mean, a lot of these things that you mentioned, like Sarah Kerrigan Most Valuable Player, that would go to Cyril. And, you know, some of them are pretty obvious, but I guess you could do something like that. We're not going to do something like that.
Yeah.
Underrated player was Cyril, because as good as he was, we still underrated him.
Gunnar, I like your idea, but I think we'll instead do like a drunk Christmas episode where we drink and ask silly questions and have a good time with that.
I just want to give a shout out to DNS. I think he would be my pick for underrated player. A little
DNS.
This year.
Nice.
There you go. How about ZhuGeLiang Most Underrated Player Award?
That'd be pretty underrated.
And I got to tell you, the Pylon, what is it? The Guest of the Year Award might be going. You're in the running right now.
You're way up there.
Yeah.
The second you went so deep on BM, I was like, this is my guy.
This is perfect.
The Regressor asks, let's get the BlizzCon hype train started good and early. How do each of you think the tournament format, best of 3 group stage plus top 8 bracket, does balancing the trade-off between finding the best player and creating the best storylines, allowing for upsets, etc.? What do you think the balance for global finals should be between upset potential and determining the best player? So he's asking about the format of BlizzCon. Does it do a good job of determining the best player, or is it mostly about hype?
The best of 3 group stage, like some of those groups are really weird looking. Like the TY and Mario are in a group together, right? So that's like, oh my god, if anything goes wrong in these best of 3s, because those are 2 of the, I think there's only like 5 players that can win the tournament, and that's 2 of them in the same group, and it's like, oh, that's suddenly crazy.
Laser Void plays fast too. Like best of 5 it's not even, it's like a 45-minute thing oftentimes, if not even less sometimes. I personally think a little bit of this you have to kind of just already recognize that, and this has always been BlizzCon, a guy can win a tournament in March or February and they're at BlizzCon, and who knows what happens between then and there. So the idea that they represent your best player of the year, it's a little bit hard to sell that. Now, this year's different because Cyril won every tournament, so truly the points did determine 2 through 8 for the WCS system. So
part of it's also just like the whole scheduling issue, right? Where BlizzCon is actually only like a 2-day event, and they do like the group stages before and everything, but they can only do that for a limited amount of time. Like, there's other stuff at play.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different weird things because, like, if you look at our last 2 world champions, last year Rogue got in on the last tournament by winning it in Game 7, and then won the world championship. The year before that, Byun beat SOS in the GSL finals of the last GSL of the year to get in, and then he won. So it's like, truly at the very top of StarCraft, a lot of crazy things can happen. So the actual format of this tournament might not matter as much because there's probably a few people not going to BlizzCon that had potential to win it. Yep.
Here's another long one. And again, thank you guys for the questions, but please in the future try to keep these low. This is really long. Hey, Pilot Show, thanks for the content and keeping it up, or keeping it coming. Sorry, I read that in my own internal mind about boners. I've heard several casters talk about SSB Melee. I have been a long-time player of Craft and Melee, and it always surprises me how the games continue to change over a long period of time. Players start to reach new heights of technical/micro/advanced play that were not considered humanly possible before. This got me thinking about the period Melee when Fox became dominant. For a long time during the Ken era, Marth was considered the best because all of his tech skill was humanly possible. Fox and Falco were always theoretically the best, but it seemed that humans could not play fast enough to unlock their full potential. Now, of course, all that has changed, and there are tons of amazing Fox and Falco players that continue to push the characters, though we still see Marth, Peach, Puff players there too. And here comes the question. To tie this into Craft, is there a race that if microed to its full potential could push past other races? Now let me explain. Is there a race that could potentially be better than the others if a human could truly maximize micro and macro, or would it be like Melee, where you still have good players with all the top tier characters that can be on relatively equal grounds? Bonus question. Also, what Melee characters do you play? I'm on Sheik in both links. Stay positive. Much love.
Okay. I will go ahead and do my best here real quick. First off, I'm a Samus player. You can probably tell. Now, as far as that, like, theoretically, I guess we can hit both of them. Basically, like, it matters how deep you want to go in theory, because ranged units and fast units are the ones that theoretically can just get more and more and more and more value out of them. So it would be things like anything with range, like a Blink Stalker, a Vulture, obviously things like Mutalisks, especially in StarCraft 1. But the thing is, some of these things become too insane, where it's like, okay, there are levels that can't be reached. Like if you watch a bot play with Zerg against siege tanks, I've seen these clips where it's like they split and whatever Zergling the siege tank was targeting suddenly gets hit and there's no splash because they split everything away because it knows, right? And okay, that's impossible. What's actually not impossible? We don't really know. So yeah, I think that basically with theoretical perfection, if I could talk about Broodor real quick, it's either Terran or Zerg would be the best for sure. It definitely wouldn't be Protoss. In StarCraft 2, I think it would be Terran would theoretically be the best if you were like infinity speed and perfection. I don't know if you guys...
The Clash Invitational where it was the 4v1 against Cyril.
Yeah.
Absolutely owned. So, just to put that into perspective, you do.
Wait, what? What happened?
So Lambo, Red, Nerdshio, and Elaser played 4v1 ZVZ against Cyril.
Oh yeah.
Destroyed him really hard.
Well, there you go. It's the more speed is insane.
And coordination. Nice. So yeah, great question. Very interesting. You just got to shrink that down by 0.03% at least. Ender Sword asks, what micro moves or techniques in StarCraft 2 do you think are the most physically difficult for each race, and how do you compare to the most difficult to perform actions in Brood War? What's the hardest micro for each race in StarCraft 2, guys? And how does that compare to the hardest actions in Brood War?
Yes.
Dodging projectiles with like pickups, like properly, I think is pretty difficult.
Yeah, that's pretty tough.
I would say some funny, insane micros, like, and you almost never see it, but a good player with Ravagers, able to hit predictive shots.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you see someone that's really good with Ravagers. I think Dark kill a Banshee with 3 Ravager shots the other day. It was like, what? I'm not sure. I think it might be a personal thing, like whatever someone's good or bad at. Like, I never put a lot of faith in my own Blink Stalker micro being perfect. Like, I know people are going to out-micro me with that because, like, theoretically you want for all your shields to disappear and blink back, right? So, like, doing that perfectly would be very difficult to do. I think it's just like a preference thing, though. It's like what units you like to use and how you like to micro them and stuff.
Yeah, good question, but I think you stumped us. I think, I don't know. There's some tough stuff.
Yeah, and as far as micro compared to Brood War, I don't know why one would be harder than the other. Because it's like, it's micro, so as much time you want to put into something microing, it gives you more and more value, right? So, yeah, I'm not sure that you can compare the two.
Conda, go ahead.
Never mind. Oh, I'll just say quickly that the more spellcasters you have to use, the more difficult it is.
Mm.
I mean, you could count like burrowing and unburrowing spore crawlers as spellcasters. So, say this is the reason why most Turks don't want to play endgame PvZ, because you have to burrow spores and have 3 different spellcasters. It's impossible.
Mm.
Because it's more difficult than just taking all your Hydras, Lings, and Banelings. It's just 1A moving towards your opponent. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's poor Zerg players. Condog902. Are there any amateur tournaments starting up in Korea to support up-and-coming talent?
I haven't heard of any specific amateur tournaments, but there are little tournaments like Olimo League, for instance, that are open to whoever wants to join them. But I haven't heard of any like ones that ban GSL players or anything.
I was going to say Ballistics is another good one, and I want to bring up that as an example, because last week there were, I think, 5 signups or 6 signups or something. So one of the players, I think it was Penguin, not like NA Penguin, Korean Penguin, signed up, and he got $25 for signing up because he was seeded in the semifinals. So opportunities are there. I'm just saying.
Jeez. All right, ZhuGeLiang, this one's for you. It's for all of us, but I'm going to go with you first. This is how we decide if you are the MVP guest of the year. Melty asks, if you became a sentient beverage, what would it be and who would you force to drink you?
Sentient beverage. I guess I would become celery juice, and yeah, it's really good for your health apparently. Yeah, I try. It was a small phase where I was juicing celery juice, and it helps with the digestion. And I've got gut problems and stuff like that. And maybe to my family, because they also have similar health issues. So that's all I can come up with. I'm sorry, I can't answer that with how can you answer that like a joke?
Pretty good. I think
do the Seth Rogen sausage stuff.
It took a different turn than I was expecting when you wanted your family to drink you, but that's good. Ravi, if you could become a sentient...
I think I would just want to be like straight up salt water. And I wouldn't want Dan to drink me right before he goes and streams Brood War, because he needs both salt and water to create those tiers that he ends up using.
It's funny that you say that, because every day, not even a joke, the first thing I do in the morning
Drink salt
is
water?
put some sea salt into a thing of water and drink it to regain all my electrolytes.
That's the secret, guys.
All right,
That's
Dan.
the secret.
Same
I
question.
would be a delicious cup of Mana Pot AFK tea.
I just want to go back.
And
The celery juice has organic sodium, so that's a lot better than, inorganic, which is what Dan does.
Thank you for clarifying that.
damn, wrecking me over here.
He is.
Should be drinking the celery juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be a white monster, obviously. I think that's a pretty self-explaining thing here. And
You already
then,
are.
You already are.
well, you could say that. And then I would have Barack Obama chug me, I think, just to just to kind of go down that. He's a great orator, and not many people have experienced being consumed by him, I suppose. So I think that'd be pretty cool. Some Drunk Canadian asks, if you were in an 80s roommate sitcom, i.e. Three's Company or Full House, and had to pick 2 roommates, one being a pro gamer / personality from StarCraft 2 and the other a StarCraft 2 unit, who / what would you pick? Your goal is to make the funniest sitcom ever. So I do want to clarify, if you pick Tasteless, you cannot then pick a Baneling, because that's actually the same thing.
Tasteless is a good pick for me. He's
you
pretty
want
funny.
a roommate with Tasteless?
No, actually, if it was an actual roommate, like if it... Here's the thing. You're actually a better balance overall, because I'd rather be a roommate with you, Jeff, and you're pretty damn funny. Well, so I'm going to go with In Control on that.
Thank you. And what StarCraft 2 unit?
Probably a War Prism.
Oh, that's sick. That's how you get around.
Yeah. I don't have a driver's license, so I can just go in the Prism.
Oh, yeah.
Even if I'm not sure where it is, it can pick me up.
Very often it can pick you up from where it's going as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ravi?
But only from 5 range away now.
Yeah.
You know, I think that I would have less to do with the sitcom part. But, like, since I have to be there, I think I would pick No Regret and Neep, because those two and watching those two interact is, like, the most weird and perplexing thing. It is actually pretty hilarious.
So you just want to watch, is what you're saying?
I mean, that's already what I do.
Yeah. And what StarCraft 2 unit would they have in their sitcom?
Oh, shit, I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
A DT.
No. That'd be weird, because that would actually just be watching them then.
I think Infestor is the right one, because you can neural parasite, and that hilarity would ensue.
I'm trying to think of it like the stupidest Terran unit possible that they would both just bitch about.
Well, take as much time as you want. This is one of the most...
I mean, we got some time. I mean, we skipped over some of this week.
I've had to pee for an hour!
Guys, I promise, we're almost done. It's just as soon as Ruby can pick out the StarCraft 2 unit. ZhuGeLiang.
Have an open, by the way.
Yes.
So bad.
You're never going to accept our invite back on the show, but while we have you here, what's your sitcom? Who are you living with, and what StarCraft 2 unit?
I've picked the original Finnish champion Nama.
Wow.
And then
Baby turn.
I'd pick the unit Phoenix, and we'd be doing some exercising memes with
Not bad.
All right.
lifting. Yeah.
But I have to say, incorrect choices. I would pick Dan. Dan's very reasonable. It'd be very funny. But then I would have us living with Sarah Kerrigan so that we could both procreate if we needed to, and then also...
And don't forget all the spells she has in the campaign, man.
She hates clutter. She does not like it when things get messy, you know. Yeah, that's a pretty good pick.
Yeah. There you go.
Built-in heals, by the way, in her body. I mean, it's like... It's
healthcare.
It's really good. Gildelin, why do you guys think that... he just kind of asked about... Okay, I guess he directs it here. Why do you guys think the news of Mike stepping down was announced pre-BlizzCon? To me, it seems like it should have been done at BlizzCon or post-BlizzCon, which I assume is BlizzCon. Do you think this puts the future of StarCraft at risk, or do you think Blizzard is making enough money to continue to support StarCraft and the WCS GSL circuits? Real quick. Is this bad for StarCraft, you guys?
Oh, I don't know. I think that Mike really loves StarCraft, and definitely he was a big part of why we have had such a wonderful time with StarCraft. I think that StarCraft, though, has shown a lot of merit as something that is awesome and can stay around forever. So I hope it's going to be all right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they announced now. I guess that's just when they wanted to announce. Is Blizzard making enough money to continue to support StarCraft and the WCS GSL circuits? Well, Blizzard itself makes a lot of money, but it doesn't make it off StarCraft. Yeah. StarCraft is not something that is raking in tons of cash. Definitely the esports circuits are an investment by Blizzard. If you want to own an entire sport, you got to put some money in. So it's a different type of thing.
Yeah. I think also for the whole announcing it pre-BlizzCon, that also might be I don't want to phrase it as like a totally political maneuver or anything, but I think that that timing might have to do with the fact that then it gives the new head to, I guess, like use BlizzCon as a platform and a stage to introduce himself more and to become more out there, as opposed to Mike Morheim doing all that stuff and then we don't actually get to hear or see anyone on a big stage until next BlizzCon. It's like just a full year where everyone's blaming him for everything.
I think that's part of it, but also it's actually kind of not what this question suggested, but you actually announce your bad news before big events like this so that you can then bury it behind. They're gonna very likely announce a new Diablo game, you guys. That's like the rumor. If not Diablo, then something else. But this is a big BlizzCon, so you don't announce something big and then a week later say, "Oh, by the way, our CEO is stepping down."
That makes sense.
You keep the good news coming. So this is the time when that would happen. Couple more questions here, and then we're done. Simpleton asks, "My first child is due to be born on October 29th. Artosis, as a dad, what is your advice for how I can still watch BlizzCon?"
First off, congratulations. That's great. You don't really have to worry. You're going to be able to watch BlizzCon fine, probably on your television, but maybe a mobile device. New babies sleep so much, and they mostly want to be held by their mamas. So I don't think you're going to have really too much of a problem. Like, it might wake up and need some crying, but you can, if you're doing a bottle feeding or something, you just don't have it watch the TV. It's not going to fall asleep. So, yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. You can definitely watch TV and stuff while your baby is sleeping or crying.
Very cool. Last question, and then I'm actually going to fish for... I just remember seeing one good one in the priority question, so I'll look for it real quick. Zach's World asked, "This is a question I saw in the non-Patreon questions that I thought was fun, from Cavglock. Can you share stories of the worst, or to Ravi, the best, BM you have witnessed or casted?" So, ZhuGeLiang, what's the worst BM you've ever witnessed?
Worst? Well, let's just say most meaningful, kind of worst at the same time. It was the first Starcraft 2 tournament we attended in Sweden. Back then there was like Jinro was there, and Nama and all these guys, and Fuser was also part of that trip. And we were on a boat, and this is real life BM. He would come to my bunk and take off his socks.
Oh my God.
And, yeah.
And what?
And in between the toes, he would leave on my bunk. That's how the drama began. Yeah.
That is...
I don't think you can get worse than that.
Wow.
And I was 15. Yeah.
Wow.
He's messed up.
And you didn't kill him. You are...
Well, later we destroyed him in... Finland is now reigned by Zergs, and he hates Zergs.
Good for you. God damn, I'm glad that story ended that way. Thank you. He took... Anyways. Ravi, go ahead. Go ahead, Ravi.
I don't really have a good one. The best thing I can think of is when I was in college still, and our StarCraft club. This is the only reason why it's even tied to StarCraft. Our StarCraft club had 2 players. One of them is actually, he went on to become like Blitz Dota for the Dota scene, but he beat someone through like really early pool or just cheesing the guy, and the guy actually like went over to him afterwards after he lost and was like threatening him and saying, I'm gonna cut you with a knife. And we're like, oh, okay, this guy's gotta go. And I was like, that was really weird.
That's crazy.
Like, yeah, that was super duper weird. I wonder if he remembers that story.
Dan, you got one?
I guess the worst BM I've ever seen is that guy you brought up before, Misters, just back in Brood War. He was just... He's the only person I still don't like. Like, I basically give everyone a free pass, even all the people who've hacked against me in the past and all the people who've said mean things to me and stuff. Like, eventually I forgive and forget. But this is like a human I just will never want any part of. There's like too much bad manner to even explain. And I don't want to give kids any ideas. But he was the absolute worst human I've ever interacted with.
I'll tell mine real quick. I think I told the story before, but for one of the last Brood War WCGs that I competed in, which was like the second or third to last, there was like a couple more that went on after that, but we had moved on to StarCraft 2. I was not playing as much because I was in the beta for StarCraft 2, and I was kind of like obviously just not that interested, but I was still one of the better players in the United States, so I wanted to compete because I could. But there was like 4 qualifiers, and I got eliminated in 3 of them by a hacker named Joe Kim. And it was like so blatant and obvious in each time. This is a guy that I smashed on the regular, but he just started hacking, and then like he just beat me. I was so pissed. He finally qualified. He himself like lost, but he would then qualify. In the 4th one, I qualified, and then at WCG, wouldn't you know it, at the offline motherfucking final, I get paired up with him, and I was so happy. And I'm not even back in Brood War when I was a lot better at this game. I was like still not a super confident guy. I was like, I feel good, I can beat anybody, but I was not like I'm gonna beat them. But with him, I was like, oh my god. And in the last game, I was beating him so hard that it took my army from across the map. I like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. A moved it across the map, and we were sitting across from each other. And then I put both my hands behind my head and sat back and started talking to people around me as my army washed over his base and killed him, and he GG'd to himself because I wasn't looking at the screen, and was eliminated from the tournament. And that felt so fucking good. And
so the BM was actually from you.
It was me. It was me the whole time.
Excellent.
That's the story.
But it was in a competitive setting, so Dan is okay with it.
Yeah. Well, he's a hacker too. Hackers have a different. See, that's the intention thing. Like you.
I know.
Okay, I found the great question. I really like this question. So last question, then we're done. Okay, I promise. Paulie. The actress Brie Larson was told to smile more as Captain Marvel. Also, I read that Zombie Grub has on her Twitch channel, it's a little bit weird there, written at her FAQ, question, you look angry. Answer, not a question, and I wasn't angry until you said that. Just kidding. This is how my face looks. Saying things like smile more or you have a serious RBF, resting bitch face, will get you a warning because that's rude, and also shut up. So I like to watch Jeff and Dan on their Twitch channel, and I barely see a smile. Did you ever read anything like smile more? If not, what was the weirdest or creepiest not fun request you got on the Twitch chat? And also I'd like to hear your thoughts on bullshit like this. The reason I like this question is because it's actually specifically kind of a sexist thing that happens is a lot of men tell women to smile more, and they mean it as a nice, it's supposed to be a nice thing to hear. But it comes from a really weird place, and it's also just not well received. You should not do that. So I'm taking this moment to communicate to a largely male-dominated audience and say, please, young people and old in the chat, do not tell random women to smile more. I think you mean well, but it does not come off well. Now, the question at hand that we can then kind of like go into on this is, have you guys ever been told to do something, which I think, kind of within the realm of this question was not meant to be bad or creepy, but was a little bit overbearing? It's mostly a streamer question.
Nothing. The only thing that comes to mind is some guy offered me a $50 donation if I would show my feet on the stream.
Oh my god!
Which I did not do.
You don't have a story for that one, do you? ZhuGeLiang with Fuser or something like that? Because
what do you mean, like somebody in Starcraft?
Did you ever stream or anything?
I mean, don't you guys know the shoe incident?
The shoe incident, he says.
Then Ravi laughs. I don't know anything. Yeah, no. Dan and I have no idea.
That's too long of a story. Let's leave that for next.
Oh, wow. God, you're so good. Look at this guest.
See, that's how he makes sure he gets invited back.
Look at this guest. Yeah, exactly. Well, he's invited to every episode ever. Ravi, I know you've gotten some weird requests.
I had one dude who told me that he asked me as a question, like, are you ashamed that you're Indian, or like do you feel uncomfortable with it? Because the coloring on your webcam is a lot lighter than I think you actually are, and it feels like you're trying to hide your dark skin. I'm like, the fuck?
God. Yeah. Let's just let that one sink in
I still
for a
don't know if
second.
that was a troll or not.
Yeah, isn't that the amazing thing? Like on the internet, sometimes you're like, I want to believe that this guy knows what he's saying, but then sometimes you encounter someone, you're like, they don't. That's his honest question. For me, that I get a lot, it's really funny, is I get all the time, chill out, or like, you don't have to get so mad, or you have such thin skin and stuff like that. And it's so funny to me because it's like, There's no answer to that, by the way. Anytime someone says something like that, if you defend yourself, you come off as thin-skinned, or like you are feeding into it. You're like, I'm not thin-skinned. You're a booger butt, and it's like it's just terrible. So you mostly ignore it. But it's so funny to me because like as an entertainer or a streamer, this is not how I talk. By the way, when I'm like, I don't like go back here and be like, the Venom movie comes out Friday. I can't wait for it. It's gonna be so great. Like that's not how I actually talk. I'm like, Venom movie's coming out Friday. You guys want to fucking go or something like that? And they're like, yeah, let's go. But when I'm on stream, I'm animated. I say things. I make jokes. Like I try to do this funny thing. Like somebody in chat will be, they'll say something like, Jeff, if you were a probe and you had to build a gateway, would you build 2 of them or just 1? And I'm like, I can't. I got to make fun of that. It's when you key it up like that. And then afterwards they're like, Jesus Christ, don't be such a dick. And I'm like, Anyways, it's kind of funny. It's a more personal one for me that. People think I'm really animated and mad or something like that, but on the inside, I'm actually completely dead. There's nothing happening at all.
Wow.
If you cut me open, there's just sand. I'm actually just like a... What is it? Just a big zombie, man. It's true.
I like that. It made me immediately think of that movie, 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah. Wow. I made you think...
Man.
Okay.
By the way, I was glancing at the Twitch chat during that. Apparently, some guy offered Maynard money to show his feet, and someone offered parting, and he actually did it.
Did he get... Well, I don't want to know. Never mind. Okay.
I don't know.
Anyways, this was a great episode. Thank you guys so much. We're really excited. Dan had been gone. I was gone the week before that. We're getting back into our groove of things. I'm going to first... Okay, so... before we do throwaways or whatever, I'm gonna do one thing here. Make sure and support us on Patreon if you're enjoying our content. Patreon, Matcherino, those are the 2 best places to do it. The code, which I fucking forgot to say, on Matcherino is Venom. So just put in Venom, and that will contribute to the prize pool. It'll let Matcherino know that you guys are watching this content. So if you're hearing this on YouTube, if you're hearing it on fucking podcasts, if you're hearing it right now, please do that for us, guys. It has real-time impact, and it costs you $0. So if you're one of those guys, if you're one of those people from Europe that every time anyone talks about subbing, you're like, well, I can't sub. I have to have a Starbucks on a Thursday down in the village. Listen, that's fine. But all you have to do is type in the word Venom, and it'll actually have a real-time impact on us. So please do that. And then Patreon. We're still not at 2,000. That's kind of the number we're looking for. If it had been 2,000, we could have sent this young Finnish man here off with a couple of extra dollars for his time, and as it turns out, it was like a 36-hour episode, so he really would have liked to have been paid for that. But please do help us with that, of course. We did a big financial... Oh, it's Venom 7, excuse me. Okay, so put in Venom 7. We did a big financial episode. We'll do that again, probably like an end-of-year type of thing. But just to break it down, Dan, myself, Cobra, we're not making like $5,000 off of this and asking for more. We're actually only making a couple $100, but putting in like 15, 20 hours... or in Cobra's case, a lot more than that, probably a month. So it's a lot of work that we love, but we want to get paid for it. So you guys got to help us with that, or not. You don't have to help us with it. It's just that it might not be around forever if we don't get paid for it. So thank you. That's it for that kind of stuff. Love all that. Appreciate it. Now let's do the giveaways. I'm going to, of course, go to the candidate for best guest of the year of 2018, coming completely out of left field, Mr. Finland himself here. ZhuGeLiang, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you're up to? People can follow your wisdom, your guidance. Do you have a Twitter? You stream anything like that?
Well, nothing related to Starcraft lately, but we're gonna have like a Finnish Home Story Cup around December, and Cyril's gonna be playing Terran, so you're gonna see me owning him in ZVT.
Oh, nice.
Very cool. Well, you were awesome to have on. I want to have you back. I think one of the best rewards I could ever give to the world is to have you and Neuro on at the same time, and then I'm just going to throw philosophical questions at you guys and sit on a washing machine. Ravi. Yeah, Ravi, thank you for coming on. As always, you're amazing. Really appreciate it. You're doing a lot of stuff. Please tell the world what you're up to.
Yeah, thanks. So in this week in StarCraft, I was actually doing ladder heroes.
Yeah.
Glad that we skipped over that topic.
Did we skip over it?
It wasn't in there.
Cobra, I actually didn't notice, but Cobra messaged me and was like, Dan skipped over ladder heroes.
No, I didn't. It wasn't in there.
Son of a bitch.
I scrolled right through.
You can't tell Cobra. Yeah, he's looking right at it right now.
Never typed it in after I left that part.
Eat that, Cobra.
This
Anyways,
is just a giant scam to make you look bad. No. But yeah, I'm doing random other stuff, streaming team games with Zombie Grub, Maynard, and Pig, and No Regret, and all kinds of other stuff. But yeah, Feardragon64 on all social media. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
You're great, man. Really appreciate it. Dan,
this is so awkward right now. It's like the one thing I really had to hit was the one that Feardragon was doing.
It's okay. This is just my plan, because if I just make you look bad enough, often enough, then eventually I'll be able to cast BlizzCon finals.
Oh, dang. Well, a boy can dream. Dan, you just got back. Your brother got married happily. You've been casting a lot of stuff. What are you up to, man?
Just some more casting for the next few weeks before the next thing I have to do. ASL tonight with Flash versus Jadong. Other than that, I'm home alone for about 3 weeks or so, or something like that. So I'm streaming a little bit extra, just going longer on my regular streams and all. So definitely tune into that. I've been putting a lot of improvements into my stream because I just have a bunch of free time for a few weeks. So that's about it. Just happy that Pylon Show's back and can't wait to have it at BlizzCon.
Yeah, super stoked. Thank you guys so much. This is a labor of love, and you guys make it super awesome. We love our guests. Really appreciate all of you guys. For me personally, I'll be streaming a lot of Starcraft in the coming weeks as well. My travel schedule is super light before BlizzCon. XCOM announced a new DLC. I'll be starting that probably on Tuesday just to get that run out of there. And then I've got a lot of Warhammer stuff going on. So if you're interested in that, check out my YouTube on InControl TV and Twitter and Twitch. And that's it. That was episode 23. Guys, we will see you next week for episode 24. When? I don't know. It has coincidentally been at the same time on the same day every week for 24 weeks, but when it'll be next, I can't say. We don't know. There's not a countdown on my channel, and we don't tweet about it incessantly. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you, guys. We'll see you later.